stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Criminality. Or if this is your first time here, welcome to Criminality. Today, we are covering the second part of day 3 of the state of Indiana versus Richard Allen. And FYI, it is AI. It is not audio from the courtroom. So what will today's sound like? Only, I guess we'll find out. Because these are better than, I'm telling you guys, Paige yesterday was the worst one. It's the worst audio. But we have two witnesses left for day 3. Which is Dwayne Datsman and Brian Olehi, which are the other two CSIs that were at the crime scene. So let me say hi to you guys, and we're going to get started. So and also a heads up, so you guys are aware, today we're doing 2 lives. So we'll have the live for the trial that we're doing right now, and then tonight we're going to have a live also on Delphi regarding the Kevin Murphy 12-page Odin report. So keep a lookout for that. I should be setting it up as soon as this one's done. So that'll be a Friday night Delphi live, which I know you guys fucking love. So time tonight, 4:30 my time. I got to figure out if I'm in charge of taking the daughter to gymnastics. If I'm not, then it'll be at 4. If I am, it'll be at 4:30. So 4:30 my time, which is Pacific time. You didn't have any Obama dreams. That's good. What time? Oh, 6 p.m. Okay, perfect, shaboobies, perfect. Okay, so we'll do ours and then we'll go to yours. That sounds great. I love it. That'll work. Okay, send me the link so I can share it, or you know what? Hold on a second. Hold, please. There, now shaboobies, you can just share it yourself. Yes, for Friday night, and I'm digging the AI. Yeah, it's got its thing, but when I can only listen, it's really great. It's a pain in the ass to make, obviously, and you guys are well aware of that by now. It's a pain in the ass to do. I like it though, because I feel like it'll be better for anybody who wants to just come and listen to the trial at a later date, like people who have never really covered the case, just want to listen to a trial or whatever. I think it'll be beneficial for them. For us who've been reading the transcript since they've come out, I don't know. I'm hoping that will be better. First wrench ever. Stop, this is a moment. Okay, this is your first wrench ever? No way, Shaboom. You don't have a wrench on anybody's channel. That's crazy. Hi, All Eyes. What's up, Fiend? Hi, Mar. Hi, Jamie. Let me go up here. Hi, Lacey. Shut up. Hi, Judy. Chelsea. MB. Yes. Friday. Skinny. What's up, Sunday Soapbox? Who does? Oh, nice. I'll listen tonight while I get ready for our yard sale. Gosh, man, I haven't had one of those in a long time. Yeah, all day with tea. Yeah, you'll have a little break in the middle. You'll have a little break in the middle. And then Sleuthy should be hopefully joining us at some point. I don't know. I'll have to message her and yell at her. Be like, hey, get your ass over here. Is Obama back? I think Obama is still in. It's not even Obama, but it just sounds like Obama. I think Obama is still in Dwayne's, but I think in Brian's it's changed. I think it changed. We'll see. Hey, Brienne. What's up, Nico? Hey, Unindicted. Hey, Rexy. Post-Punk Mama. Hey, Miss Garbage Brain. ATS. Hi, beautiful. Hot Pocket. Hot Pocket. What's up, Free Ricky Bay? Hey, Mother of Dragons. What's up, Jess? Hey, Grendel. Okay. Let me hop down here. Make sure I didn't miss anybody down here. My goose is here. Yeah, get the goose in here. There she is. Where is she? There she is. Hi, I'm here. There she is. What's up, Ems? If I missed you, I apologize. Love you guys. We're gonna get started. I will try to say hi to everybody as they come in and chat if I can. It took a long time for me to hear Obama, despite you all saying it. But once I did, it was all I could hear. She had sent me. Sleuthy had done that one, and so she sent me a clip, and I was like, "Dude, that's like Obama." That's Obama. Okay, so we have two more to do today, and then next week we're gonna do day 4, and we should be able to do day 5. What am I doing? We're sharing the screen. That's what we're doing. Here we go.
We'd call Dwayne Datsman.
Can you hear that okay? It reminds me of the music videos that are pieced together with clips of cartoons. Or have you guys seen that one that somebody did of Eminem's song? They put like 138 movie clips together. That one's really cool. Most of them are fine. That Jason Page one was a fucking nightmare. It was just a nightmare. To the point where I just gave up. I was like, I don't even fucking care how bad this is. Yeah, I love those too, Hootis. I love those.
Mr. Luttrell, could you retrieve your exhibit from the witness stand, please? Could you retrieve your exhibit from the witness stand, please?
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. State your name for the jury, please.
Wayne Datsman.
Could you spell your name for me, please?
First name Dwayne is D-U-A-N-E. Datsman is D-A-T-Z-M-A-N.
Where are you employed, sir?
I'm sorry?
Where are you employed?
Currently, I'm employed with the Benton County Sheriff's Department as a special deputy, courtroom security.
Are you retired from the Indiana State Police?
Yes, I am.
When did you retire?
3 years and 1 month ago.
And tell the jury about when you began with the Indiana State Police. What year was that?
I got accepted to the state police in 1987, attended their police academy the fall of that year.
And what assignment did you receive when you started at the state police?
My first assignment was a road trooper. I was assigned to the Lowell District, patrolled Newton and Jasper County. I did that for 7 years, put in for promotion to corporal, sacked that for 7 years, corporal doing desk duty.
Okay, this is the one that I said, I was like, I'm pretty sure that that's a black guy, and like this guy is old and fucking white. Whatever.
Officer answering phones and supervising squads. Then after that, I became a sergeant in the laboratory, where I spent the last 20 years of my career.
So I'm sorry, I'll ask you to repeat yourself, and I think it's my fault, but how many years as a crime scene investigator?
20 years.
Did you receive training to become eligible to be a crime scene investigator for the Indiana State Police?
I'm sorry. I'm very hard of hearing.
Did you receive training, sir, when you went from a corporal to becoming a crime scene investigator?
In becoming a crime scene investigator, they had a month-long training program. You would go through different instructors for different scientific principles, whether it was firearms, arson investigations, homicides, lifting of fingerprints, and using alternate light sources. Just about anything that you're going to be using in that particular field, they had a course for it.
No, okay, yeah, that's not this guy.
And was that followed by kind of on the field training, in the field training with another crime scene investigator?
I had a few scenes that I went with other investigators to see how they performed their duties.
How many crime scenes did you go to as a crime scene investigator those 16 years?
So this is, let me put the thing up. So this is Latrell, and then this is Dwayne Datsman. And obviously, we don't know Dwayne Datsman's voice, so we get what we get.
I have no record of that. However, it numbers in the hundreds.
How many homicide scenes, Mr. Datsman?
I'm not sure on the number of homicides because they're all mixed in with the other death investigations, of which I had 200 death investigations.
Explain that just for briefly. What do you mean by what is included within death investigations?
With a death investigation, we go to the scene to document it and collect the evidence. We do follow up by going to the autopsies and collecting, well, to the evidence we've collected at the scene. We take it to a laboratory where we package it and submit it for an examination.
So my next question was, what are the duties of a crime scene investigator? Did you just summarize those for the jury?
Well, the duties of the crime scene, we help other agencies. We go out to document the crime scenes, whether it's photography, videography, collection of blood, or any other things of evidentiary value, and submitting it to the laboratory.
I'll direct your attention to February 14th, 2017. What was your job at that time?
I was a crime scene investigator at that time.
And primarily working what counties?
This guy over here on the left, this is Latrell. He's the prosecutor, or he was the special prosecutor that was brought in.
I worked part of the Lowell district, so I had Newton, Jasper, Pulaski, and then part of Lafayette's district, Benton, Warren, Fountain, Carroll, White.
So you've worked Carroll County before?
Yes, I have.
Who contacted you to assist in this case?
I don't recall who actually called me. Just had a notification that there was a homicide in Carroll County, and they were requesting my assistance at the scene.
Do you remember where you were when you got the notice?
I was at the Lafayette Post.
And did you respond and go to the Delphi, Indiana area?
Yes, I did.
Do you know what time you arrived?
I arrived at the scene where they wanted me to be at 1:11 p.m.
And at the scene, would that be the cemetery you went to?
Yes, we went to the cemetery to park our vehicles there.
What'd you do next?
After parking there at the cemetery, we crossed down the trail. They directed me that the scene was down below, closer to the creek. Went down there. I could see that they had put up barrier tape. So I went down there and I met with Sergeant.
He's a CSI. He's a CSI that was brought in to help the Carroll County CSI.
Sergeants Ohe and Page.
And what was your first work that you did or role that you played once you arrived and conferred with Sergeants Olay and Page?
After meeting with them and talking to them, I started off with some scene photography, starting out a little bit of ways from the scene, and we work our way in, taking closer and closer photos. And
was there a point where you were notified that you were to leave that immediate crime scene area and do something else for a time?
There was. I was asked to go down along the creek ahead of the water rescue team, make sure, looking for any evidence that may be on the bank. But during that time, I received a call that says, come back to the area, cemetery area, because they wanted aerial photographs and they wanted me to go with the helicopter pilot.
Okay, so he, when you guys are, if you see like the RTV-6 helicopter footage, that's the news chopper that's obviously taking the footage, but you can see another helicopter that's flying like lower. That's the police helicopter that he was in. He's also the one that we talked about yesterday, that when they are, because there's 3 CSIs that are there, 2 of them are using the light, the alternative light source, and have on their orange like glasses, goggles. He doesn't have his glasses on, so he's the one who sees, as they're shining the light, he sees something shiny in the ground, and it's the unspent round. So he technically is the one who finds the unspent round, but you guys will hear that.
And did you do so?
I did.
And did you take photographs from the helicopter of various scenes around the Deer Creek area over where the bodies were located and the general area near the bridge?
Yes, I did.
But you indicated you took photographs at the crime scene itself as well.
Yes, I did.
And how did you and Sergeant Page and Sergeant Olahi, how did you coordinate your efforts at the area immediately near the bodies?
Being all pretty well experienced crime scene, we know what to do when we go to a scene. So we just started working it. And if either or one of them had a request, I would help with that duty.
By the way, were you carrying a firearm and did you have any ammunition with you?
No, I did not.
Is that typical for you at a crime scene?
For me, it is. The size of the firearms that we were issued at the time are very large, and you're wearing dress clothing, and you got a skinny belt and this big holster. And To me, the holster was flapping around and gun sticking you in the side because you're up and down so much from a kneeling position, standing. So I just took my gun off and left it in the vehicle unless I felt the need for it.
That had become a practice of yours over years?
Yes, it was.
And you followed that practice on that day?
Yes.
When you talk about being at the scene, are you familiar with the phrase ground zero as it relates to this investigation?
Yes, I do.
And how did you define ground zero?
Ground zero was right around the area of where the bodies were located within several feet of the victims.
And while you were present let me back up, and I apologize. I'll restate my question. Do you know what time you would have arrived approximately at the crime scene?
It would have been after 1:11 because that's when I pulled into the parking lot, so maybe 10 minutes later.
Then, when did you leave?
I believe I departed the scene that night.
I'm sorry? What time did you depart the scene, if you recall?
It was around 10:30 p.m.
You took a number of photographs, correct?
I did.
I'm going to show you some of those. For the record, I'm going to show you States Exhibit 64 to 77 inclusive. Ask you if you would look at those. And in fact, I've shown you those today, have I not?
Yes, you have.
Are those photographs that you personally took yourself? I'll let you go ahead and keep.
Yes, these are photographs that I had taken at the scene.
And the majority of these were taken on February 14th, 2017.
That's correct.
And maybe the last two were taken the following day, if you recall.
I don't recall, but
Do they truly and accurately reflect the locations that you observed and that are depicted in these photographs?
they do.
I would move the admission of 64 through 77.
No objection.
All right, without objection, 64 to 77 inclusive are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would like to publish them to the jury at this time.
You may.
We'll begin, Sergeant, with the aerial photos that you took. Could you describe for the jury what this photograph depicts?
This is above Deer Creek looking to the east. There's a residence on the south side that I believe the driveway ends there at the house from where they had access to it. And you can't really see much else because of the trees.
I'm going to ask you if you would be okay with coming down.
Yes.
And I'll give you a pointer as we ask some other questions about the other photographs. For the record, you've just identified 64. If I could ask you to stand off to the side so the jury is not obstructed.
Even farther over, sir, so can you see now? Okay, there you go.
If you have to adjust to get in the way, if you just move back, that's fine. We'll try to keep it so the jury can see. Exhibit 65, what do we see? What does this depict?
Well, once again, this is over the wooded area where we have water rescue team down here searching the creek, and it's very hard to tell, but we have a crime scene tape or a rope going through there.
Sir, you're going to need to speak up. You'll need to speak up.
And I'm not sure, looking at this photo, this may be the location of the victims.
All right, so you indicated the water rescue team. Is that those individuals in the red and bright colored neon yellow hats, helmets?
Yes, it is.
And would that show, at least in the portion where they're standing, the relative depth of the creek at that location?
Yes, it would.
This next photograph is Exhibit 66. Again, another aerial view. Would you point out the Deer Creek that's shown in the photograph?
This is Deer Creek running here.
And that, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This would be upstream side going up that way.
So coming to across to the down rightward would be downstream?
Yes, this would be downward.
And can you locate the bodies of Liberty German and Abigail Williams in this photograph?
The bodies of the victims are down here right next to the base of this tree. There's one here and one here.
Would you point that again? And where is Liberty German and where is Abigail Williams?
I'm not sure which one is which for their names, but we have one of them here and we have one over here.
Okay, one is clothed and one is unclothed?
That's correct. And they're both laying on their backside.
And that's how you had seen them even before you'd taken this helicopter ride, you took these photos?
Yes.
Did you have difficulty in seeing where they were, even though you had been there to the scene?
It was difficult from the helicopter to see down through those trees.
So this is the helicopter footage from RTV6. So that's what I was saying. You can see the helicopter that he's actually in is here, because this is the news chopper. So anybody who's kind of followed the case for a while if you guys remember, like, people have dissected this footage so much. I mean, so much. I mean, people have seen all kinds of things in this footage. But there was always a light flashing, and everybody was like, well, what's the light? What's the light? And I was like, well, I always thought it was the CSI that were like taking photos of the crime scene. Well, he actually explains what that light was. And so I was pretty excited about that. And I went back and clipped it and put it in here. And yeah, I remember, where Librato says that the bullet was buried, it was that interview he did with Barbara McDonald.
And we had an officer down on the ground using the strobe function on a light.
Do you see it? Did you see it?
Seen them even before you'd taken this helicopter ride, you took these photos.
Yes.
Did
Hold
you
on.
have
Do it again.
difficulty in seeing where they were, even though you had been there to the scene?
It was difficult from the helicopter to see down through those trees. And we had an officer down on the ground using the strobe function on a light, trying to get our attention as to where he was at, close to the victims.
And despite that, it was still difficult.
Yes, it was.
I don't know if the words, I haven't listened to that interview for a long time, so I don't know if he said buried, but him and I think it was Baldwin in one of his motions, they both make it very clear that the bullet was in the ground, not on the ground. It was in the ground.
Now you said initially when you arrived, you approached from the cemetery. And did you take a photograph from the edge of the cemetery heading down towards the crime scene?
Yes, I did.
Look at State's Exhibit 67. What does this depict?
The view from the top. You have the upper edge of the forest here.
And let me interrupt you. Where is the cemetery from where you were standing taking this photograph?
I'm facing the creek. The cemetery would be behind me.
Okay.
So you can see down below Deer Creek's over here. This ground goes down one more level, and we have to go down another one to the very bottom, the creek bottom.
Photograph 68. What does that show?
This shows the two victims there in their final resting position, and there are some sticks placed over their bodies.
Photograph 69, this is from the kind of the opposite side, more from their head to their toes perspective?
That's correct.
At least from Abigail's standpoint. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes, it is.
Exhibit 70, again from a similar angle, but more closer to the scene. Did you examine or observe any blood in the location of on the ground near the bodies?
Yes, I did. There is a blood pool, or what appeared to be a blood pool right here.
Using your photography, were you wanting to document and capture the condition of the bodies and any blood patterns that you saw at the scene on the bodies or elsewhere? Is that correct?
That's correct.
This next photograph is a closer up view of Abigail Williams. What does that depict?
That depicts the neck injury on Abigail Williams and blood staining. Not sure which way the blood's flowing. I'm not an expert in blood spatter, but it shows the injury to Lynette.
I'm showing you photograph 72, Mr. Datsman. Did you look again on the bodies for locations of blood? What does this depict?
Well, this shows that there's nothing up here on her foot, but down here at the heel, you see blood, and then underneath her leg, it travels up. There's some blood stains up there.
And you're pointing to the right leg, and that would be the right upper thigh and side of the right calf?
Yes, it would be.
So did you, in assisting or working with the team that you were working with, did any of them use any equipment once it became dark to try to enhance your ability to examine the scene and the victims' bodies?
Yes, they did. They used an ultimate light source, a blue light.
And who did that?
I believe Sergeant Page did.
And what were you doing when that was being used?
Was just standing close to the body. I did not have yellow or orange shield for my eyes to block out the blue light. So I was just observing them moving the blue light around the body.
And what happened next?
As they were moving the blue light around, I kept seeing the glitter down in the leaves, and the light would go by and I'd see it, then it'd be gone. I said, send that light back over here. Let me take a look again. They couldn't see it because they're wearing the orange goggles. And once I saw where it was at, I turned my flashlight on and fanned away the leaves from where
What do you mean by fanned away the leaves?
just brushed the leaves away from whatever was laying under the leaves that was causing that glitter.
And what level of
I don't know why I love that part. He's like, so what do you mean by you like fanned the leaves away? And he's like, I just moved the leaves. Like why do you want me to go into detail about that? I don't know, the way that AI like kind of recreated it, I was cracking up.
pressure or physical movement did you use as you fanned that area?
It was very light. I did not want to disturb anything underneath it,
And did you move anything at all when you did that?
just the leaves.
And what did you see?
Well, underneath those leaves, there we found a .40 caliber cartridge.
Now looking at State's Exhibit 73, you're standing a lot closer than we are. Can you tell the jury where that cartridge was observed if it's captured in photograph 73?
The cartridge is right here. You can see a little bit of dirt, and it's located right in the center of that, and you just see the head stamp of the cartridge.
And that's what it glittered?
Yes, it was.
The next photograph, photograph 74. What does it depict?
Hi, Sleuthy.
Hello.
How's your day going?
Okay, I guess. I'm
Are
cleaning.
you are you listening while you were making your chili or no?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to say about anything we've listened to so far, or do you want me to keep playing?
Not really. You can keep playing. Well,
Okay.
he's not really. He'll get it. He gets into more. Well, he doesn't really get in a whole lot, but the next one does.
Yeah, Olehi is definitely the guy in charge, so he knows and has more info. But
And this guy, I think, is this the guy that where everyone was confused because they were reporting that they found glitter at the scene?
yeah,
Idiot.
this is him. This is the glitter guy, but it's not actual glitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, this is a photograph of the cartridge kind of stuck in the ground. Just right in here, you can still see the base of it, the head stamp, and the lower part of the cartridge.
Photograph 75.
This photograph here is still that same cartridge. Just a little bit, closer up view of it. You can still see the head stamp, the primer. The primer's not been fired, so it's an intact cartridge.
An intact cartridge?
Yes, not fired.
I'm sure there might be some time during this course of this trial that someone will say bullet. Technically, what is a bullet, sir, as opposed to a cartridge?
A cartridge is made of several components. You can have the primer in the back of the casing, and casing holds the powder, and then some sort of projectile is impressed on the other end of the cartridge casing. So all those components together are a bullet.
And once you noted that and fanned away the leaves and these photographs were taken, what happened to that cartridge?
It was collected,
Collected by whom?
I believe, Sergeant Oley.
Were there any other cartridges located anywhere at ground zero that day?
No, there was not.
Were there any other cartridges located anywhere within the crime scene?
No, we found no
Odd.
other cartridges.
So the total number of ammunition that was
that bothered me a lot, but I think he's trying to clarify it like this ground zero crime scene, right? Because we know from people who were out there and other law enforcement reports that there were other like casings and rounds found out there.
There should have been. I feel like there should have been trash out there. If it floods,
Well, I mean, they do find a
right?
little bit of trash, but it's not. And that's what I said yesterday too. With this being a quote unquote floodplain, there should be all kinds of shit here. I'm gonna back it up just a tiny bit though.
Like clothes, fishing stuff, like all kinds of stuff should be there.
Within the crime scene?
No, we
Within
found no other cartridges.
So the total number of ammunition that was collected that day was one?
That's correct.
And which one was it?
This 40 right here.
And was it Sergeant Olehi's role to be the collector of evidence and documenting each item of evidence that was collected?
That's correct.
Your photographs and other photographs have shown that there were sticks on the bodies of Abigail and of Liberty. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you looked at those and saw those?
I'm sorry?
You examined those sticks. Is that correct?
Yes, we did.
Was that something that you participated in?
Yes, it was.
And were they in a systematic process removed one by one from First Liberty? And then Abigail, as you were documenting the scene?
They were.
And were those sticks set aside in some location?
Yes, they were.
There at the scene?
Yes. Sergeant Page set them off to the side, out of the way, so nobody would step on them.
Now, at this point, you had been a crime scene investigator for 13 years, 14 years?
It'd be 16 years.
At the time that you did,
Yes.
This investigation. And in doing so, did the three of you discuss what to do with those sticks?
We did.
And did you ultimately leave them there at the scene when you had examined them?
That's correct.
And why did you do that, Mr. Datzman?
We had flipped the sticks over. We saw no blood or anything on them, and they were very rough or crumbly. Some of them had the like moss or lichen growing on it, which it fell off. So between the three of us, we're talking about this thing. In all of our experience, we've never gotten any DNA of such a surface as this. So we decided at that time they were of no evidentiary value, and we just left them stacked there.
If you believed that they might be of evidentiary value, what would you have done?
We would have collected them like the rest of the evidence and
You'll learn that somebody higher up than him was like, hey, those could be evidence and you need to go back and get them.
taken it into the laboratory for further examination.
Is the role of the crime scene investigator in working with the laboratory to examine for what would be reasonable to submit to the laboratory for their testing?
That's correct.
And in your judgment, was it reasonable best practice to collect those sticks and submit them to the lab? Was it, in your opinion, best practice to take them to the laboratory?
In my opinion, there wasn't evidentiary value to them.
You later returned to the scene, I believe, on March 3rd, 2017, and you collected the sticks.
That's correct.
How do you know that you collected the sticks that were removed from the bodies of Liberty and Abigail?
I knew where Sergeant Page had placed them, and before I went out to the scene, I printed off a couple copies of photographs of the sticks so I could identify them by their shape. And with that information, went out and collected those sticks.
And where did you take them?
I'm sorry? Where did I take them?
Where did you take them from that scene on March 3rd?
I believe I took them to the Lafayette Post.
Were they placed in a storage area where other oversized items of evidence are kept?
Yes, they were.
So we have no idea what happened to the sticks from the time that they were left there to the time that he goes back to pick them up. We have no idea if he even got the right sticks. This is purely a trust me, bro situation that I did the right thing instead of just taking the sticks like I should have in the first place.
Not in a traditional evidence room, but in a locked facility where it'd be more practical to keep them.
That's correct.
Let's go back to February 14th. You indicated to the jury that you remained there from approximately 1:11 upon your arrival to the general area and departed around 10:30.
That's correct.
Had the bodies of Liberty and Abigail been removed at that time?
Yes, they've been removed before our departure.
And so
Okay.
you continued to assist and work with your colleagues, Sergeant Page and Sergeant Olhe, until such time as they had been moved, and you did some further examination of the scene. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you return the following day on February 15th, 2017?
Yes, we did.
And what did you do at the crime scene area, both the ground zero and the larger area of within the yellow tape? What did you do in that location on the 15th?
We went back and used our metal detectors again, searching a little bit wider area to see if we could find anything else of evidentiary value.
And did you go ultimately across to the other side of the creek and examine in the afternoon or evening of the 15th, examine that area as well?
Yes, I did.
The next photo, 76, what does this depict, sir?
This is what they call the Monin High Bridge. I believe we're at the east end looking west.
So you're at the opposite end of the bridge from the trail, the Monin Trail. Is that correct?
That's correct. I believe you can see just a little bit of the trail down there at the end, kind of turns to the right, and then you step off of this onto another gravel path, barely gravel.
And photograph 77, what does it depict?
It's a disturbance in the soil going down from the old railroad bed down to the gravel drive down here.
Did you examine this area and other areas across the creek, the ground, for any shoe impressions?
That I did. On this particular one, I walked out the outside of it, trying to see if there was any shoe impressions in that black dirt, and we found just a partial one somewhere up in here.
Had you had information that there had been other individuals, searchers, the day before, the 13th, and the morning of the 14th in that area?
I did hear that information that searchers actually maybe even climbed through that dirt looking for the girls.
Did you find ultimately, either on this side of the creek or the other side of the creek, any shoe impression that you believed were of evidentiary value?
No, I did not.
When you're looking at shoe impressions, what are some key components of that? What are some major factors that you consider?
Well, they have what we call class characteristics. You may have a pair of Nikes and, even in different size, it'll have the class characteristics, the same style, tread, and design on the bottom. But then you get afterwear, you get nicks and cuts. So you have individual characteristics in that. And that would separate one shoe from another, depending on the type of wear, how it was worn, and if it was damaged.
And in your judgment, did you find any prints that would help you find more individualized characteristics that you could use them forensically?
No, I did not.
You may return to your seat. Sergeant, I thank you. I have no further questions.
Can we take a break? We need to take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been over there for 2 hours, and I'm going to go ahead and take a real quick break. Give you an
Remember, because they were carrying on from Sergeant Page being on the stand and talking and talking and talking and talking.
opportunity to get up and move around. Again, while you're outside of the courtroom, please keep your minds open. Please don't form any opinions or conclusions about anything. You may discuss the evidence that you've heard so far, but please only do that if all 16 of you are present in the jury room at the same time. And then please don't deliberate. Gentlemen.
All rise.
All right, let's resume at 3:30, folks. Jody, you can go off the record.
Judge, is it okay if I stand here while the jury's coming in?
Sure.
All rise. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm just going to give him a minute to get settled in. All right, Mr. Baldwin, you may proceed.
I know that you are retired, so what?
You can just address me by my first name, Dwayne.
Dwayne, okay, thank you, Dwayne. Would you agree with me that a bullet found at a crime scene should be photographically documented?
Yes.
Okay, that should be photographically documented. We'll talk about the bullet found at this crime scene.
It was
okay, and it should be photographically documented for one reason, so the jury can make sure that the bullet that was found on the ground is the same bullet that they ultimately see at trial when it's admitted in as a piece of evidence. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, because, we'll strike that. And would you agree with me that one way to do that would be to videotape as the bullet is coming out, as somebody was picking that bullet up and taking out of the ground, and then showing it on the video in different at different angles?
No, I would not agree with that.
Really?
Yes. When you pick that up, you risk doing some kind of damage to it. It's better just to package that right away. And if you go back to the laboratory and then photograph it in a safe environment.
Okay, but by the time you get the laboratory, we don't know what the tip of that bullet, for example, we don't know what the tip of that bullet looked like as it was in the ground, right?
No.
Okay, so is it much of a problem to take it out and videotape so that we can see what the color of the tip of the bullet is?
Be better to photograph it.
Okay, well, let's do that.
Yeah.
Would it be too difficult to take the bullet out and photograph it so the tip of the bullet can be seen?
No, it would not be difficult.
And that would be a wise thing to do. So again, the jury can be assured that the bullet that's taken out of the ground is the same bullet that they're going to be seeing once it is admitted into evidence, presuming that it is. Would you agree?
Yes.
And just before I finish up, because the projectile part of the bullet, you said what we saw in the photograph was I'm not a gun guy, but the back part of the bullet, what do you call that? But
the very end of it where the primer's at is called the head stamp. It gives the caliber and the company that manufactured it.
Okay. So we see the head stamp, but the tip of is it okay to call it a bullet?
Yes.
The tip of the bullet, they have different colors.
Yes, they do.
They're made out of different substances like copper.
Correct.
Okay. So, all right. And does the Law Enforcement Academy, I believe it does, teach you to document things that are important in a crime scene?
Yes.
Okay. In this case, you did not document that the clothes on Abigail were damp, did you?
I did not.
Okay. That could be an important piece of information should the clothing be damp versus dry. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now, does the fact that you did not document that
nobody documents that the clothes are actually wet. Nobody puts it in their report, which is also very weird. So Olehi will kind of talk about why he thinks the clothing was damp, but just they don't bother to document it.
The clothing was damp mean that you did not notice that the clothing was damp?
Correct.
Thank you. You said a second ago on direct examination that the shoes, you did not see any shoe prints in the ground of any evidentiary value, is the word you used. Do you remember saying that?
Correct.
But wasn't there some shoe prints that you saw that you thought looked similar to one of the victim's shoes?
That was the one partial footwear impression on the trail up there in that black dirt.
Okay.
There's not much of an impression left there.
Okay. So the one on the black dirt, you think looked similar to one of the shoes of one of the victims?
That's Sergeant Olay. He said that looked similar to the girl's shoe, and it did have a resemblance to it, the pattern.
Okay. Did you see the shoes of a small adult male also next to the shoe imprints of that shoe of the potential victim?
No, I did not.
What I'm doing is I'm reading out questions, so you'll probably like that. So now, was it your guys' jobs as CSI to take like the depth of the creek at various points? Would that be something that you guys would have done, or that somebody else?
Somebody else may have done it, but it wouldn't have been one of the things I would have done.
Okay. And I was writing something down as you were talking. Did you say that you'd taken some photographs that you could kind of tell what some of the...
So I can see that. So you guys have to remember, like, the pictures that were leaked to the public are very they're not the OG. Like, they were screenshotted, sent back and forth between people. Like, they changed like the coloration of them, in, you know, from the people who are actually leaking them to the public in order to make it so that they wouldn't be tracked back to where they came from. So they're not the greatest quality. Do they look wet? No, they look dirty. And it's really the jeans, which would be Libby's jeans that are found on Abby. They just look kind of dirty. Like, there's like, I don't know if you guys have you ever like gotten like jeans wet, gotten them dirty, but now they're not really wet anymore, but you can still see like the dry dirt spots, if that makes sense. That's what they look like to me. But there's no like clarity on, like, there's these are definitely wet, these are definitely not wet. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really tell that.
depths were in the creek? Did I hear you say that?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, all right. You don't know what the levels of any of the areas of the creek were. You didn't go in there and do that, is I guess what you're saying.
No, I did not enter the creek, and I don't know if the water team took any measurements or not.
Would you agree with me that this, in all of your years of experience, this was a very odd crime scene to come upon?
No.
No. Had you ever been to a crime scene where sticks were arranged in a certain pattern on one of the girls?
No, I have not.
Okay. But that happened here, right?
Objection to the word arranged. That's speculation.
Sustained.
You said on direct examination that you did not collect the sticks that were found on the girls, correct?
That's correct.
And you found that you did not collect them because they did not have, in your opinion, evidentiary value?
That is correct, due to the nature of the surface of those sticks being crumbly.
But not all the sticks were crumbly.
For the most part, they were very rough textured,
That's like the
not
scientific
something smooth
term
enough
right
to
there
work
of-
with.
Sir,
Of crumbly. Yeah, we didn't take them because they were crumbly. Katie K, no, I haven't worn my Tammy Lee cardigan in so long. I need to bust it out for when it gets colder.
when something is rough, that means that skin cells, epithelial cells, could end up on that item, right?
It's possible.
Is that why somebody told you guys to go back and get those sticks?
I do not know why they told me to go back and get them.
It would have.
Crime with Eve. Hey, Sean. So they misinterpreted the crime scene. According to this is what Sean's comment is. I believe the theme was simpler than that. What do you think it was? Like, what are your thoughts on it? You think it was just like somebody picked him up and threw him over there? Do you think it was to cover him? Like, what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear.
It was a mistake not to get those sticks, don't you think? Not to take them initially?
Or maybe you mean the cops.
I don't think so.
But somebody, well, okay, somebody above you in the
Right.
chain of command said,
I have no idea who asked or requested for us to go out to collect the sticks.
well, I mean, somebody, a human being, had to have picked those sticks up with their hands and placed those on the girl's right.
Correct.
And when they do that, again, their skin cells would be on it.
If not, unless they're wearing gloves, then there wouldn't be any transfer.
Yeah,
Well, was the guy wearing gloves?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you should have collected the sticks.
Baldwin's like, so was like the perp wearing gloves? He's like, I have no idea. And he's like, oh, so you should have collected the sticks because you actually didn't know whether the guy was wearing gloves or not. I think this is also the CSI. Maybe it's Olehi. It might be Olehi that does it. One of them says that they wear 2 pairs of gloves. And I just want, like, you guys in chat, I want you to think about that for a hot second.
Right. So
Hey, Hillary.
They were collected
how much later?
a couple days.
A couple days. You talked a little bit about the blood spatter on, at least on Liberty's face. Is that correct? On direct.
Made note of. Yes,
But you said, I am not a blood spatter expert.
that's correct.
But the state police does have blood spatter experts in its employ, correct?
Correct.
And I would presume, because you thought there was an unusual blood spatter, at least on Liberty's face, if not other places, it would be smart to get the blood spatter person out there to examine the crime scene.
Not necessarily. The photographs taken of it, the blood was dry already, so it's there. You can make a determination of blood flow or whatever they do from the photographs.
At the tree where there is a pattern, or, well, I don't know if it's a pattern, but there's some blood on one of the trees. Somebody called it an F tree. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have heard that.
Okay. Would it be wise to
I like Baldwin's like, somebody called it that. Have you heard that? Like, just some random person called it the F tree.
get the blood spatter out there to the F tree to analyze that better than photographs? Would you agree?
No,
You don't agree?
no, I think photographs document it well enough.
So do
Ooh,
the
okay, hold on. Sean said, I believe each girl had a cross and a shepherd's staff on them. Well, we're going to see if you have another comment up here because I want to know. That's all for now, folks. I have to go to work. I know more, much more. Well, come back when you can. Take a break from work and come back and tell us all the things that you think.
photographs document how thick the bark is?
It would give you, what do you mean by how thick the bark is?
Well, you said the photographs do just as good a job, so I'm just wondering, I'd want to know probably how thick the bark is where the blood was on the tree.
Objection. That's speculation.
Ooh, that's another thing is how many people in the, you know, that were in the know said that the quote unquote F tree where the blood was found was actually cut down and taken for evidence.
Fact that Mr. Baldwin might want to know it doesn't mean that a blood spatter expert would.
Sustained.
Well, you said that the
Rewind that.
photographs would be
I like
just
the
as good as the blood. You said the photographs do just as good a job, so I'm just wondering, I'd want to know probably how thick the bark is where the blood was on the tree.
Objection. That's speculation. The fact that Mr. Baldwin might want to know it doesn't mean that a blood spatter expert would.
Sustained.
Well, you said that the photographs would be just as good as the blood spatter expert being there. He just used the photographs. Correct.
Correct.
Does the photograph detail the texture of the bark on the tree?
The photographs show that.
All right. So you think waiting 7 years for a blood spatter expert to get on, if that's what happened, would be an appropriate amount of time?
I have no idea.
Okay.
If all these CSIs did not think it was important back in 2017 to have a blood spatter expert come out there to do any of these things, to examine it, to see what they thought of it, if it was blood spatter, if it was transfer, if it was intentionally put there, anything. Whether Baldwin wants to know how thick the bark is, no, any of those things. Like, it's crazy to me. None of them thought that was important. But later on, after Jason Page gets his deposition done by the defense, he recommends to the state that they get a blood spatter expert out there. And it'd be his friend, Cicero, who likes to use his own blood. How does that make sense? Nobody thought it was important to do in 2017.
He probably wasn't able to answer their questions.
So it only becomes important because now it's important to the defense.
Oh, 100%. 90% of what they did was that way. They only did things because it was important to the defense.
Fucking weirdest case ever.
You said that there were people, part of the problem with the shoe prints was that there were people searching both on the 13th.
Correct.
And then around the area.
Yes.
And on the 14th as well.
That's correct.
Hard to differentiate which shoes were of the searchers that were near the scene of the crime versus those that the person who might be the killer as well.
That's correct.
Were you aware of any other, we'll strike that. Were you aware of any items, sticks or any other items that were left behind that did have blood on them?
There may have been small sticks and leaves around the area.
Okay. What about bigger sticks with blood on them?
I don't recall any bigger sticks with blood on them.
What about the ones that are touching the wounds on the girls? Those don't have blood on them. And who does that? Yeah, that's a great point too. If they themselves are not a blood spatter expert, then how can they determine if one is needed or not? The expert would determine if it was important. Very good point.
Well, and how can we trust what they think has evidentiary value if they were sent back to the crime scene to collect things that they thought had no evidentiary value?
Right. And how is there no documentation that tells who told them to go back and get them and when? Because they just say a couple days later. I went back a couple days later and got them because somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody told me.
Luttrell said like March 3rd or something. They went back ages later.
This guy who goes back says just a couple days. Like, where's the documentation to prove any of that?
If there were larger sticks with blood on them, they should have been collected on the 13th. Would you agree?
If they were of value, we would have.
I'm sorry?
I said if they were of some kind of evidentiary value, we could have collected that or would have collected that.
Blood on a stick, evidentiary value in that, right?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
At some point in time, did you ever, as CSI folk, ever get asked to kind of walk the path of the suspected path of the killer to look for evidence?
In this particular case?
In this particular case, yes.
We can only guesstimate where they might have walked and try to search that area, make sure we didn't miss anything there.
And I appreciate that. And so we're talking about from down the hill where that slide mark is, down the access road. Right? Then you went down farther and around, and you looked around there for footprints and other things as well.
That's correct.
So this is also another interesting point, and because we haven't gone through all the CSIs, you guys haven't really seen that yet, but none of them, so you have these witnesses, right, who come forward and say, hey, I saw Bridge Guy over here, hey, I saw Bridge Guy over here. We think that Bridge Guy went and walked this way back to his car. None of the CSI guys ever go and search any of those areas for evidence. They don't go back and search the trail where Daniel Pearson says he saw Bridge Guy. They don't go back and search on Well, they do search the north side of the bridge, so I guess maybe they did get platform 1 with Betsy. They don't search over by Freedom Bridge. They don't search any of those. They don't search anything over by the Mears farm where supposedly they think that bridge guy walked. Like, why would they have searched any of that for a weapon or anything? They don't ever search any of it. Blood drops, anything. No, none of them walk it. None of them go look over there. None of them look for evidence. None of them collect evidence. Nothing. They did not search the cemetery. No, none of them search any of that area. Nothing. They search the north side to the south side of the bridge, and then what they consider ground zero of the crime scene, and the water right there. That's what they search.
They didn't even search like the path where they think the guy walked from the crime scene.
That's what I'm saying. They don't. What about like blood drops? What about a weapon? What about anything? They don't search any of it. And that is one thing like they do ask, like each CSI is, were you ever asked to go over here? Were you ever asked to search this area? And they're just like, no, we never searched there. We never asked to search there. One of them doesn't even know what the hell the guy's talking about. Like the attorney's talking about, like, where, what? I don't know what you're talking about. This is the path that you've had multiple witnesses within the first couple of days. According to Datsman, I believe they collected on the 14th. It's collected, I was going to say the 13th, but it's not collected the 13th. It's collected on the 14th when they're using, the two of them are using an alternative light source to look for specific evidence on the bodies. Dwayne Datsman here sees like the glittery, it was like glittering from the light, and so they dig it up and look. I want to know if any witnesses saw Dave McCain taking photos on the bridge. I also, why don't we have Dave McCain's photos? Why weren't they put into evidence? Like, what did they capture? He's out there the entire time this crime is occurring.
And then you didn't cross the river yourself, did you?
Not through the water.
Okay. But on the other side also, where between the creek and where the bodies were found, you would have walked there and looked around and made sure that there's nothing that is
That's correct.
Nick says he has the photos, but they don't put them into evidence that I'm from my memory. They don't put them into evidence. Just says, yeah, like we have the photos and you gave them to us.
Did anyone look in them, like, to see if they saw anything in the background of his photos?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, how is there, like, why wouldn't you want that?
This is painfully stupid. Like, they're painfully stupid and lazy.
And, and the guy that, everybody's so upset about because he doesn't say hi and is walking with a purpose. Dave McCain also doesn't say hi when somebody tells him hello. He doesn't respond.
You mean like he walks like he has a purpose, walks with a purpose, like that?
Walks with a purpose. Yep.
Suspicious.
Yep. Coming back from the area of the crime scene.
Does he also like look down when people talk to him? And what were the other things? Touch his face? Does he touch his face when he's answering a question?
Yeah.
So Jerry Holman says all these things are suspicious of a murderer.
Yeah, he probably wears sweatpants.
Sweatpants, that's the one. And empty in your pockets.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, but what about north of where the girls' bodies were found, where the person may have left? Were you asked to follow that track of the killer, possible track of the killer?
Going north from there, we had been up through there several times.
Okay, and is part of what you did as a CSI and others, they were looking for the guy that whoever killed Guy or whoever killed or people, whoever killed these girls, if they went north, you needed to check that way.
That's correct.
Okay, what about once you got up onto, were you ever asked to go on to 300 North and follow a track of where the killer may have traveled on 300 North for shoe prints or any other types of evidence?
300 North. Is that the road in front of the cemetery running east and west?
Yes.
No, we didn't look for anything up there.
Did anybody ask you to look on that track?
No, they did not.
Okay. As you head westbound on 300 North, did they ask you to look anywhere for any type of evidence along that road?
We had been through from the bridge up that trail back out to 300. We went through there, and another trooper pointed out an old t-shirt out in the woods that we collected.
Okay. But once you get onto 300 North, which is right in front of the cemetery, you were not asked to do any further CSI work, if you will, in that area north of 300 North.
I had no request made to me to search that area.
Were any of the other areas across the road, behind the barn, behind Hugia Harbor Store, none of that?
Nobody came to me and asked me to search it.
There you go.
Would you have done that if they asked you?
Yes.
So the last question on this is, so if somebody had come to you and said, hey, we think that the person that killed these girls went around some buildings and along this path, would you walk that path just to see if there's anything there? You would have done that?
If it had been brought to my attention, I would have.
Do you have anything to do with collecting evidence at the Brad Weber property across? Do you even know who Brad Weber is?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'll move on then. Okay. That private drive that goes under the bridge.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Did you look for tire marks and see if there were any tire marks that were inconsistent with the owner of that house's vehicles?
Did not see any tire marks, and that's a gravel path or driveway, and I didn't see any tire marks in there.
Okay. Did you see any footprints from that access road when you go down the hill and then you went down to the creek? Did you see any footprints, like 3 sets of footprints, anything resembling 3 sets of footprints all the way to the creek at all?
No, I didn't observe any extra sets of footwear impressions there.
What was the temperature of the girls, each of them individually, their body temperature at the time that you were there doing your CSI work?
Oh,
I do not know. We did not test that.
Okay. You should have tested their body temperature.
No.
No?
No. They test body temperature, core temperature, rectally. And due to the chance of there being sexual assault, you don't want to be inserting anything else and losing that potential for evidence there.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, my mom used to put the thermometer under my armpit.
Objection to what his mother used to do.
Sustained.
It's like the best objection in the history of objections.
I love that Baldwin said my mom. He's like, my mom used to. And he's like, I don't care what his mother did.
Yeah, I don't care what his mommy did. This is irrelevant. I mean, it absolutely is. Latrell's right, but it's just, it was so fucking funny. He's like, objection to what his mommy used to do.
Probably a better question would have been like, is it possible to just take the temperature from under their armpit?
This is the best. Objecting to Baldwin's mom. Like, leave her alone, Latrell. Leave her alone. Hi, Mav.
Did you ever put a thermometer on pits?
Mine didn't put it on my armpit. She put it under my tongue. Isn't that like normal?
Yeah, I don't think that there wasn't all the other fancy thermometers when I was young. I'm that old now. It only went one of like 3 places.
We had it looked like an outdoor thermometer. It had the mercury in it.
Yeah.
And you just put it under your tongue.
Objection to what Baldwin's mom used to do.
No.
To find out what their core temperature was?
No, we have not.
Okay. Do you have a CVS in town where you could have received? You're not from here, are you?
No.
Okay. if there were a CVS in town, could you have gone to one and gotten some type of thermometer to put under their arm?
Not for that, because determining core temperature, there are so many variables involved. What are you hoping to find from core temperature?
Time of death.
You would not get time of death from that due to the variables that the air temperature, the bodies are in the shade, the sun, are they closed or nude, wet, the moisture from the ground, and just.
Is more information better than less information?
Yes.
What about to the touch? Did you touch the skin of the girls to find out how cold they were, or if they were even cold?
I did not. Maybe one of the other CSIs did.
Did they teach you in CSI school how to calculate the rate of decline in body temperature based upon a lot of variables?
Not that I recall.
I'm going to hand you what I think was marked as, what did you say?
41.
41. Have you seen that photograph, or are you familiar with that?
I believe I
Who
saw.
the fuck was that?
My
Is
question
that Jody?
No.
Supposed to be Jody?
It was
if
Ajay.
Exhibit 41 sticks, do they look to be covered in blood, correct?
They are.
They are covered in blood. Do you know if those sticks were collected?
Ironic, because remember, he already testified that the sticks didn't have blood on them, that there were some small sticks and some leaves, but he didn't see blood on the big sticks.
No, I do not know that for a fact.
Okay. Would you agree with me that they should be collected since they have blood on them?
Not necessarily. If they took a blood sample or swabbed some of this blood on the ground, made a collection from it, the stick is there. It's possibly got the same blood on it. We can't go picking up every stick, every leaf that's in the forest there just because it might have a drop of blood on it. But I believe check with the other CSI. He might tell you that he collected blood from that.
Okay. Well, you were talking about the different variables that are in play when it comes to determining body temperatures and time of death. Strike that. Different variables that are in play when it comes to time of death. One of those being core body temperature. You said sunlight and other things, correct?
Yes.
One of those variables might be just what's the air temperature at the time that you are there, correct?
The bodies were already cooled off by then.
I know, but when it comes to analyzing the rate that the body temperature declined, and it would be good to know what the temperature was at the time that you guys arrived as part of the analysis.
I don't believe in this instance it would have.
Do you know if anybody took the temperature knew what the temperature was?
Ambient air temperature?
Yes.
I had like 41 degrees at 1 o'clock when I pulled in there.
41 degrees on the 13th.
No, 14th.
Oh, on the 14th, duh. Okay, thank you. 41 degrees when you arrived at 1 o'clock on the 14th.
Yes.
Your main job there was to preserve and collect evidence and document evidence. Would you agree?
That's correct.
You have no idea whether those girls ever crossed that creek. Would you agree?
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. You have no idea whether those girls ever crossed that creek.
Not to be completely sure about it.
Okay. You don't have any idea of when those girls even got to where they ultimately were?
Where they were found?
Where they were found.
No, I do not.
I just wanted to review some of the things you did collect and see if you remember collecting them. Okay. There was another bra collected somewhere. Is that something that you collected?
I did not collect that.
Okay. Are you familiar with a bra being collected?
I saw it in the report somewhere. Somebody's report.
A pink colored sock. Did you collect that?
No, I did not.
Where's this bra from?
A shirt on the bank in the same area. Do you remember collecting the shirt?
No, I had no part of that.
A Jimmy John's drink cup with a straw in it.
I did recover that.
Okay. And it looked like it had been used, right?
It was fairly new. It was not weathered, crinkled, or discolored. It looked like it was within a couple days, maybe at the most.
Okay. And sometimes we hear about people that are sip on a straw and you can get their DNA off the straw.
Correct.
Was that one of the reasons you collected it?
Yes.
And you don't know what happened to it, but you collect it and then it moves on. And whether that ended up having something on it or not, you don't know. Is that true?
Usually not.
Okay. There was an energy drink
Yeah.
that looked like it was not too old.
Yeah. Same way was another energy drink can. I believe it was a can.
Camel cigarette butt.
Yes. There was a couple.
Whose DNA is on the straw? Whose DNA is on this energy drink? Whose DNA is on this cigarette?
Whose, if anyone's?
Yeah. who's if anyone's? Whose bra is it? And where the hell was it?
Of cigarette butts on the right at the entrance to the bridge area. They looked fresh, like they had not weathered, been run over, stepped on, or anything. So we collected those.
The area that those girls were found is relatively flat. Would you agree?
No.
You don't agree?
No.
Where their bodies were laid.
That ground undulates down there. You've got high spots, low spots, and it's not flat like you'd find a field or yard.
Sure. Well, I guess compared to like coming down from the cemetery, that's a pretty steep grade there. Right.
That's correct.
And from to the west of there, where the girls were maybe 100 more yards, there's a pretty steep decline there as well.
That's correct.
So compared to those, this was a pretty flat area.
Compared to that, yes, it is.
Thank you. No other questions.
Mr. Latrue,
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Datzman, where did you find the Jimmy John's?
Latrue?
I don't know.
Latrue?
I thought she called him that. Well, she doesn't call him that. It's just the way that AI did it. But
Mr. Latrue?
funny. She says Diener funny too.
Literally, we spell it the same every time, yet somehow the AI will say it differently.
Yeah, it just does what it wants to. I have never lost a bra, and I'm oddly proud of that. But I had a friend who sent me on a wild goose chase to get her fade bra back after she left it somewhere. Was it at Deer Creek?
At the west end of the bridge on right-hand side in the weeds or growth there.
That would be the area where the trail ends at the bridge. The public.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. No other questions.
Mr. Latrue,
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Datzman, where did you find the Jimmy John's cup that you collected?
It was at the west end of the bridge on right-hand side in the weeds or growth there.
That would be the area where the trail.
Right hand side. Which way are you facing? Who's right? My right? Your right?
Trail ends at the bridge. The public trail ends at the bridge. The opposite side of where you took your bridge photo that you showed the jury. Is that correct?
Yes.
The opposite end?
Yes.
And where the cigarettes, I think your testimony was at the entrance to the bridge, the cigarette butts that you collected.
That's correct.
That would be at the same general area?
Yes, it was.
So the public side or trail side of the bridge, you collected those items?
That's correct.
Would the energy drink be the same? The energy drink was also found in that area?
Yes, it was.
What's the word core mean when you talk about core temperature?
Like the center of the body?
That means intruding into the body to get taken, correct?
That's correct.
You can't get core temperature from something underneath an arm, in an armpit.
I would agree.
That's not the definition of core.
No.
Would you agree?
I can't believe they're saying armpit instead of using like the medical term.
Yeah, they're just armpits. I'm about to do a Cecil search to see the closest Jimmy John's. Well, so like he's saying, like where he found the Jimmy John's cup, the cigarette butts, the energy drink. We still don't know where this T-shirt, this random T-shirt, and this random bra are located. Nobody clarifies that for us. What is the medical term for armpit? The chat wants to know.
Axilla.
Nobody knows what the fuck that is. I've never even heard
Or
that.
they could say your axillary temperature.
Oh. Axillary?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. I'd say armpit. I want to know. I'd be like, what? That'd be a jury question. What kind of temperature? An axilla? I don't think I've ever heard that. I have heard axillary, but I don't think I never knew it was called an axilla. So Libby was missing a sock and they found a sock and he doesn't know if they collected it. Okay, so here's the issue is there's 4 socks total that are gone. They find 2 socks, right? Because neither girl is found with socks on. Abby doesn't have socks on. Libby doesn't have socks on. They find 2 socks, but those 2 socks don't match each other. One is that little pink orangey sock, and another is like a purple and black sock. So there's nobody. I haven't done all the testimony yet or read all the transcripts yet. So that maybe it's out there somewhere. But when I was going through from just the people who were at the trial, they only talk about 2 of the 4 socks. So it's like each girl's missing a sock. There's also a pair of underwear that's missing. We don't know where Abby's or Libby's underwear is. We know where Abby's underwear is. We also don't know where Libby's bra is. So I know that the defense put in the Frank's memo that, Abby had on the 2 bras. From now knowing the size,
So maybe that's where the bra came from.
that's what I'm saying. Like, why wouldn't they know that though?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, how would they know it? How would they know that? Like
I don't know.
have
Becky,
Libby's
is this her
grandma?
bra?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
She would have bought it for her. She's 14. Could this potentially be her bra? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Abby's wearing 2 bras, but we know the sizes of the bras. And hold on, that's what I was pulling up so I could go over that. The sizes of the bras are both Abby's size. So the actual black bra on Abby is a 34A, and the sports bra, the gray sports bra, is a size 34. So I don't know why the defense thought it was 2 bra, like one was Libby's and one was Abby's. That they're obviously both Abby's, in my opinion. Libby did often wear mismatched socks, but we don't know if, hold on, let me see if we know that. The black and purple sock that's found, I don't know if it's a full-size sock or not. The black camisole that's found is a size large, 10 to 12. And doesn't have either girl's DNA on it. It was all insufficient. All the DNA was insufficient. Probably because it was in the creek. So, but would Libby wear a size large 10 to 12? Because I don't believe so. So I don't believe that's Libby's either. Yeah, 10, 12.
I mean, my kid is 7 and 65 pounds, and he wears a large 10, 12.
Right.
Actually, I just had to buy him a bunch of new underwear in 10, 12.
So I don't think the camisole's Libby's either. But we don't know this random bra that they found. We don't know where it's found, and we don't know the size of it. So. The scarf. The scarf was, I think they or the bandana thing, they didn't do anything with it. They said it was very old, embedded with mud, may not be related to the crime. Unless something comes, so here's the thing is, most of the stuff from my DNA spreadsheet is from the people on YouTube or news people that were in the courtroom. As I've gone through like Datsman's testimony and Brian O'Leahy's testimony, I've added things that were missing to the spreadsheet. So then that way like we have it in its entirety, because obviously people just handwriting notes, you know, they miss stuff, and then which we assume they would have. So, okay, let me keep going. Did they test anything? Well, they tested certain things. Just the clothes that were on the girls or on Abby.
Do you agree that the best way to track an item of evidence, a cartridge, or anything else, is to place it in a container separate from other items of evidence, adequately mark it, and get it to where it's supposed to go undisturbed?
That's correct.
In your 16 years or more as a crime scene investigator, did you ever stop and videotape the collection or picking up an item of evidence on the ground?
I've not videotaped it. I've photographed stuff on the ground.
Photographed. But the act of picking it up? Did you ever videotape that act?
Not to videotape the actual picking up an item, no.
Was there anything about this case that would suggest you do something different than you've done for 16 years as a crime scene investigator?
No, there was not.
No further questions.
Mr. Baldwin,
If you had to do it all over again, would you have taken a photograph of the other end of the bullet so that this jury would know that that's the same bullet that they received into evidence that was taken out of the ground?
If I had to do it, I imagine I would have gotten a picture of the bullet after pulled out, and then it goes to the lab.
Thank you, sir.
Omitted question, Your Honor.
omitted question? Sure.
You were asked a question on cross-examination, and I meant to follow it up, and I apologize that I didn't. But real quickly here, I'm going to show you images. I'm going to show you States Exhibit 183 and 184 and ask if they are, in fact, images that you took but zoomed in to show the creek in a more Seiler fashion. 160 to 183 and 104.
Yeah, it shows the creek and the water rescue team while they were searching that area.
It shows the water rescue team in the creek?
Yes, it does.
I would move the admission of 18.3 and 18.4.
Any objection?
No.
All right. Without objection, 183 and 184 are admitted.
Your Honor, we would ask leave to make copies for the jury and publish them that way later.
That's fine. You may.
Jim,
Oh.
Oh, so you have copies? All right. You may publish.
They're similar photographs, Your Honor, but for the jury's clarification, there's two. They are two distinct photos.
Anything else, Mr. Luttrell?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any cross on the omitted question?
I do.
On the omitted questions?
I'm sorry, Judge, I do. Do you?
So this is exactly what I was thinking when I was going through like all the CSI testimony. Is the defense attorneys are asking them questions like, wouldn't it be better to do this? Wouldn't it have been better to do that? Like, why aren't they actually saying like SOP is like your standard operating procedure is this and you didn't do it? Your standard operating procedure is this and you didn't do it. Like, and have that like, otherwise what you're trying to like make them say they should do something that they're like, no, we shouldn't do it. Like, would it have been better to, you know, hold the bullet and flip it in all directions and take pictures of it? And he's like, no, like and so you need to be able to say, hey, here is your standard operating procedure on how you're supposed to collect, you know.
Because otherwise, you're just a non-expert telling an expert what would have been better for them to do.
Right. And now you just look dumb, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that whole thing of like lawyers don't ask questions that you don't know the answers to. Like, why are we asking all these questions that he's just, and if it's just up to his interpretation of things, why would he say, yeah, it would have been better for me to do that if it's not one required and two, he didn't do it. He's not going to act like he did something wrong if there's no requirement for him to do it any different. So I just think they were really bad questions. If you don't have anything to document, any documents to be able to say like, well, this here, the state of Indiana, and all those 16 years of trainings you've gone through say you should have done it.
Unless they don't say that.
Unless they don't say it, then don't ask the fucking question. Don't say it should have been,
Yeah.
It would have been better if you'd done this or that. Because they're not going to say yes. They're going to say no. Skinny. I know nothing about bras, but I do remember some girls back in school that had two on. I bet you do. I bet you do. They didn't really question him on his training. The defense didn't. The prosecution asked him, like, when he went to the academy, when he was trained in this, what kind of ongoing training he takes, but it was not very elaborate. Fake pockets are stupid.
You know the height of any of those people in the photographs?
No, I do not.
And do you know if they walked another 3 or 4 feet toward that bank across the way, if they would fall into deeper water?
They could have.
No other questions.
Does anybody on the jury have any questions for Mr. Datzman?
Sidebar conference conducted.
I'm just curious of the questions.
Oh, you're fine. That's fine. The defense.
So he doesn't need to be up here because it's Nick doesn't need to go up there because Latrell's the one that's actually doing the questioning. But Nick's like, I'm just curious. I just want to know what they're asking.
Mentions that it would be helpful to show or capture the entire bullet at the crime scene to help the jury identify that it's the same bullet. So that's not really a question. Would there be any reason that the bullet submitted to evidence would be a different bullet?
I like the question.
No, it's a good question.
Fair question.
Is there a process to ensure that the jury is seeing evidence that is not tampered?
If he knows.
You want me to couch it? If he knows? Is that what you said?
No, I'm just, if you want to, that's better.
Either way, I don't care.
Okay.
Sidebar conference concluded.
Sir, would there be any reason that the bullet submitted to evidence would be a different bullet?
No, it'd be the same bullet found at the scene as this bullet that would be packaged and sent to the laboratory.
Any follow-up, Mr. Latrell?
No.
Mr. Baldwin?
No.
Is there a process to ensure that the jury is seeing evidence that is not tampered with?
Could you repeat that, please?
Is there a process to ensure that the jury is seeing evidence that is not tampered with?
We have policies and rules regulations that we follow for the collection and submission of evidence, and we have a chain of custody. So if I find something, package it, I take it to a laboratory, I sign it over to the evidence clerk, and she signs it into the evidence system. It has a number, a location, so a case number on it, so you can go back and find that exact piece of evidence.
Any follow-up, Mr. Latrell?
Are items identified by a specific number under this specific case?
Yes, they are.
And are they submitted to the laboratory in a sealed condition?
In a sealed condition, yes, they are.
If not in a sealed condition, would the laboratory refuse to receive them?
They would have the officer repackage the item if they hadn't done it properly.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Baldwin?
No questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Datzman. You may step down.
Thank you.
You may call your next witness.
All right, so that was Datzman. So let me get our next CSI, which is Brian Olehi, and we don't even make it all the way through direct for Datzman, or for why can't I say his name? I just said it, Olehi. Yeah, is there a process to ensure that investigators' DNA does not end up on evidence? None were tested for fingerprints or DNA. According to what we were told while people were in the courtroom, was that they said that the state of Indiana no longer does that, which is interesting. Okay, hold on, let me grab this. Who do I want? Brian Leahy. That's what I want. All right, let's make this one public. And bring this one up.
State your name. Thank you, Honor. We would call Brian O'Lehy. Would you state your name?
Brian O'Lehy, Olehy.
And where are you employed?
I'm employed by the Indiana Gaming Commission.
And what do you do for them?
I'm a gaming agent, a law enforcement officer enforcing gaming and regulating gaming in the state of Indiana as a full police-powered officer.
Previously, were you employed by the Indiana State Police?
Yes, I was employed by the Indiana State Police from 1995 until 2021.
Did you go through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy?
Yes, I attended the Law Enforcement Academy from January of 95 to June of 95. And then I was appointed as a trooper to work at the Lowell Post.
How long were you, or did you have that role as a trooper at the Lowell Post?
Approximately 4 years before I was transferred into the gaming division, which the state police was then in charge of. I spent a year with the gaming enforcement from the state police, working for the Gaming Commission on a casino in Gary, Indiana. I then returned to patrol duties in the Lowell district for approximately 6 months. And then I spent, after that, approximately 3.5 years as a district level detective, investigating every level of crime as a detective. I was then promoted in 2004 with the Indiana State Police to sergeant to work in the Public Information Office and served as the Public Information Officer, Media Relations Officer for Northwest Indiana. In December of 2004, I was promoted to first sergeant and served at General Headquarters as the Assistant Commander of the Public Information Office for the Indiana State Police. And then in the fall of 2015, I took a position within the laboratory as a sergeant, as a crime scene investigator, working from the Indiana State Police Lab as a sergeant for the Indiana State Police, and held that position.
So at the time in 2017, he was he worked for ISP as CSI, and he was the one that was in charge of Carroll County. He had other counties, but he was the one in charge of Carroll County. So this is the guy that is in charge of that crime scene. The other two that are there are just there to support him, even though they're in charge of their own counties. And he's the one that's in charge of collecting the evidence. So like that's why they're there. They kind of, the other ones are like photographing it, and then he's the one who's in charge of actually collecting it and taking it back to his post, or what post, whatever post it's going to go to.
Until my retirement from the Indiana State Police.
How long were you a crime scene investigator?
Approximately 7 years.
And what training did you receive to be a crime scene investigator?
Specifically, I received training in the academy on various aspects of criminal investigations and evidence, and then specifically related to the crime scene investigator position. My initial training was a 4-week, 160-hour course put on through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy at Plainfield, and then continuing education of hundreds of hours of various trainings on every aspect of crime scene investigation, from basic collection of evidence to things like fingerprints, vehicle crimes, specific things, just a various number of areas of crime scene investigation training.
How many crime scenes did you process during your 7 years as a crime scene investigator?
Some years more than others. I would say that the number was probably between 275 and 350.
How many of those were death scenes?
I would say probably a third of those involved some sort of death.
And did you testify in court as a crime scene investigator?
Yes, I have.
Describe for the jury the specific duties that you have as a crime scene investigator.
A crime scene investigator's role would be to document, particularly to document evidence at a scene or of an event. One of the primary duties is to photograph a scene so that you can capture it as it was, as you found it upon your arrival, to collect evidence or anything that may be of a probative nature related to that crime scene, to preserve that evidence and package it, and to document the evidence through sketching, photographs, note-taking, using a thorough and systematic approach to documenting a scene and collecting the items that may be there.
I want to direct your attention to February 14th, 2017. Where were you assigned? What was your area?
You were working as a crime scene investigator at that time?
My area of initial responsibility was to be assigned to the specific counties of Tippecanoe, White, Carroll, and Clinton counties were my 4 primary counties. The way that we were set up was that one crime scene investigator was assigned to specific counties, but we would go wherever the call was based on the needs, or if someone was on a day off or working another scene. We would also respond and assist each other at various scenes depending on what the need was or what the crime scene entailed.
Were you alerted at some point on that day to the fact that 2 girls had been found, the bodies of 2 girls had been found in Carroll County?
Yes, I received a phone call from Carroll County Sheriff's Department Detective Kevin Hammond advising me that 2 missing girls had been found deceased, and he was requesting my assistance at the scene. That was the initial.
Did you know?
That was the initial call.
Did you know Detective Hammond?
Yes, I did. I'd worked several cases with him.
And how did you respond?
I mean, I entered my vehicle and drove to the area where he requested me to be.
Did you reach out and contact any others at that time?
Yes. Shortly after I started my way towards Carroll County from Tippecanoe County, I called CSI Sergeant Jason Page. Due to the fact that
It's very hard to get him to say Tippecanoe. So it just kind of comes out however, he just did not want to say, even phonetically, he did not want to say Tippecanoe. His AI did not anyway.
that there were 2 deceased, I knew that this was probably going to be more than just a simple crime scene prior to my arrival with very limited information. So I requested that Sergeant Page come and assist me. I then received another phone call from Detective Hammond, advising me that the information he now had was that the 2 appeared to have been murdered, and this was not an accidental or an exposure type of an incident, that they'd been out in the cold overnight, so it was a home. He suspected it was most likely a homicide, and there was some foul play involved. And then following that call, I also called CSI Sergeant Dwayne Datzman and requested him to come and assist me. And I do believe at some point in time, I also called my supervisor and apprised him of the situation that was occurring in Carroll County.
And had you worked with Page and Datzman in the past?
Numerous times, yes.
Where did you arrive and tell the jury, if you know the approximate time you arrived at the location you were asked to go to?
I arrived at the area, the county road in the area that I would refer to as the Bridge Trail, or the Monin Bridge Trail, or the Delphi Walking Bridge Trail. I can't specifically recall the county road. I think it's 300, but I can't remember the exact county road number. But I was advised that it was near the old Delphi Cemetery. I went to that location and located Detective Hammond and began to discuss the situation with him. I know that I was parked in the back of the cemetery, on the south end of the cemetery.
And did you meet with Detective Hammond?
Yes, I did.
Tell the jury what action you took at that time.
Detective Hammond and I went from the cemetery down into a pretty steep ravine that went down towards Deer Creek. It drops off fairly sharply and has a pretty steep grade going from the cemetery down to what I would refer to as a river bottom or a floodplain area along the creek. It's heavily wooded. It's basically what I would refer to as a typical Indiana forested area along a river, just pretty much anything in the northern half of Indiana, very similar to that. It was wooded. It was February, so it's wintertime. It was a fairly warm day, as I recall. The temperature was approximately 55 to 57 degrees. It was sunny. The area just had a lot of dead leaves on the ground from the previous fall, and there were sticks. It was very typical of woods in northern Indiana.
Your region you cover is several rural counties, is that correct?
Yes. I would describe most of Indiana as a rural state.
You're not unaccustomed to going to this type of an area to conduct investigation?
No, that's correct.
Are you also a hunter?
Yes, I am.
And did that give you another vantage point or experience to draw on in terms of what you were seeing and what you interpreted the scene?
What I would call, I'm a hunter. I'm not a deer hunter, but several of my friends are, and it was an area that I would call prime deer country, or wooded area where deer hunting would very often take place. Yeah, it was an excellent place where I would.
Yeah, this is the AI recreation of the transcripts of testimony. Yeah, it is. It's AI.
If I was going to hunt deer, I would hunt deer. I looked in the area for tree stands
And I'd also been advised at some point that trail cameras were reportedly in the area because it was a hunting ground. And I had asked Detective Hammond to task someone to look for trail cameras in the area and collect those if they were in the area. To my knowledge, no trail cameras were found.
To your knowledge, was that request followed up on though? And
Yes. I was specifically told that they had searched and there were no trail cameras found. I recall asking them also to reach out to using, local data and plat maps to determine who the landowners were and to reach out to the landowners and to determine if there were any deer hunters who regularly hunted the property. It's my experience in Indiana, not only the owner, but also other people will often hunt on ground. So I asked them to reach out to the landowners and see if they had permission for anyone to hunt in the area.
Tell the jury what the scene security was like when you arrived, once you came down from the cemetery and arrived closer to Deer Creek.
As I was coming down the hill, I observed a trooper who I believe I recall to be Wes Ennis, who was putting up crime scene tape over a large area. I do specifically recall speaking to Wes and asking him to make the area very large and broad. And that's part of crime scene documentation, is not to too narrowly define your crime scene so that you don't leave anything out. And I also was aware that a crime scene log or any entry log to document who entered and who left the scene had already been started prior to my arrival. I requested to make sure that it had already been done, and I was advised it was. And when I got down to the bottom of the hill, I was logged in by the trooper who was maintaining the crime scene, and to my recollection, that was Trooper Larry Moat.
There's been, did you designate at some point an area within that larger crime scene area as ground zero?
I would say that the area where the bodies were located and an area probably 20 to 30 feet around them would be ground zero. I would say in that area, even probably another 10 or 15 feet out, I specifically requested that no one enter that area, no one go into that area until it was time to fully examine the bodies and basically take a full accounting of all the area and systemically go through the area at the river bottom to determine if there was anything else that needed to be cordoned off or considered as another crime scene or a secondary crime scene.
sir, did you observe anyone at the ground zero area upon your arrival?
To the best of my recollection, as Detective Hammond and I discussed the events and what was known at that time in the area, and also discussed the trail cameras, there were 2 personnel in an area near the body. They were probably still 30 to 40 yards away from me, maybe 50 yards away from where I entered the crime scene area. I believe them to be Deputy Giancola and Deputy Yoder from the Carroll County Sheriff's Department.
Once you arrived, were you the lead officer in the crime scene area, the crime scene and ground zero at that time, in terms of who had the role to lead this investigation, the crime scene aspect of it?
The crime scene aspect of it. So I would say this, a crime scene investigator for the Indiana State Police. And in my experience with all the cases that I worked, probably 90 to 95% of the cases that I worked for crime scene were for other agencies other than the Indiana State Police. They were for town marshals, for sheriff's departments, for other agencies other than the state police. So at Kevin Hammond's, at Detective Hammond's request, I came to assist the Carroll County Sheriff's Office as the lead investigating agency. I took my role as the lead crime scene investigator at that scene based upon the fact that it is a primary county assigned to me. I would also say that upon the arrival of Sergeant Page and Sergeant Datzman, both had more time and experience as a crime scene investigator than me, but I would still consider myself as the primary investigator because of the location of where the crime occurred. I would also say that we work together as a team and that their collective experience and my collective experience all add to the investigation. We work under the theory and the principle that none of us together is as smart as, none of us individually is as smart as all of us together.
Sir, were you carrying any firearms at the time?
I don't believe I was carrying a firearm at that time because knew I was going to be going up and down the hill, and I wasn't in an area where I didn't feel safe. If I would have been carrying a firearm, it would have been one of my 2 issued firearms, and it would not have been the sidearm for a trooper, the regular sidearm for a trooper, which at that time was a Sig Sauer P227, 45 caliber. The other firearm, and the only firearm I carried on a daily basis, was a Sig P365, which is a 9mm.
So, did you have any ammunition in your possession?
No,
If you had, your firearms were 9mm or 45s?
that's correct.
Did you interact with any agents and staff, non-special agents, but staff members of the Federal Bureau of Investigation sometime after your arrival?
Yes, I did.
And did you give them tasks to perform, and did you participate with them?
I did. And what you're referring to, I believe the FBI calls their ERT team, or evidence response team. And it's my understanding that the evidence response team is multiple members of the agency who are trained in the collection of evidence. I don't know their rank, status, or position. I don't know if they were agents, special agents, special agent in charge, or evidence personnel. I don't know what their training, whatever their title was.
So they may have been civilians. In other words,
They may have been civilian. They may have been sworn.
okay,
I don't have that specific information.
but you did interact with them and work with them sometime after your arrival.
Yes, I did.
Explain that to the jury, what you did with them and had them do.
So, as there were multiple tasks to divide up, one of the tasks that I asked the FBI evidence response team to do was collect items which had been located during a search of the area prior to my arrival, which included items of clothing found in Deer Creek and in the water. Those items had been monitored and observed constantly upon my arrival by a group from Tippecanoe County, which was the dive team, the emergency response dive team from Tippecanoe County, which is, to my knowledge, is administered by the Emergency Management Association. They had been watching the items that had been found in the creek, and then I tasked the ERT team, the FBI's ERT team, to collect those items from the water, collect the water with them, and then go through the water in the bags and collect those items individually and provide them to me once they had collected them. I took photographs of those items prior to them collecting them. And I also believe that the FBI team took some photographs as well.
And did you direct any Indiana State police officers to then receive from that FBI ERT the items that were removed and handed to them from the water?
Yes. There was another state police crime scene investigator, Sergeant Jim Cody, came to the scene at a later time at my request. Specifically, I requested that Sergeant Cody come with some specific equipment for documenting crime scenes, which I do not have possession of. They're given to some of the crime scene investigators around the state based on the cost and the cost of the equipment. So we utilize it whenever it's needed, and an officer assigned that equipment comes to the scene when it's needed.
What equipment is that?
It's called a faro.
And it very much will produce what appears to be a photograph or a picture, but it's actually points of light, and he uses light points to create what
Doug Carter would be very upset with that. These points of light that create this image.
What are we even talking about?
Not a picture. It's the Faro scan.
I know, but like he over answers every single answer.
Yeah, they all do. I mean, that's what I think is the easiest. But yeah, this is also why his testimony takes forever. But he says, he says it creates this photograph. So, we now know based upon, Sergeant Page, that they're allowed to carry all their personal firearms. There are people who are at this scene that we have no idea what firearm they carry. You've now got Cody that's out there doing the Sparrow scan. We don't know what firearm he has. You've got
FBI, either agents or civilians.
Yep. You've also got Cree, who comes out there for the removal of the bodies.
And you know he's got a ton of guns.
And he's got a ton of guns. So we have no idea. We have no idea what kind of guns these people have. And one of the very big thing on like the pro guilt side is it can't be a firearm from the officers because the ISP carried this type of gun. Carroll County carried this type of gun. We know now that Jason Page was carrying his own personal firearm, and they're all allowed to. A light is not a photograph.
To the naked eye, it looks exactly like a picture, but it's not actually a photograph as we know it.
And Faro is F-E-R-O?
I believe it's F-A-R-O.
To fully answer your question, though, I asked at that point, after they had collected those items and I'd observed them, due to their very wet condition from being in the creek, I asked Sergeant Cody to take those items to his location at the Putnamville Post, where they had a more sufficient drying room to dry those items so that they could be packaged for further examination.
The Putnamville Post had a better facility for that aspect or for drying.
Yes.
Evidence?
Yes.
Why was it important?
My assignment was at the Lafayette Post, and the drying room there was substandard at the time.
And why is it important if you have wet clothes to have them in a dry room or address that issue of their wetness?
So the drying room will basically, without acting like a clothes dryer with extreme heat, moves filtered air through the small room to more quickly dry the clothes so that things like mold and mildew do not degrade any potential evidence on the clothing items.
Which can happen to DNA evidence if they become moldy.
Any biological evidence, yes.
So then, did you also assist the FBI, work with them in searching a broad area there?
Yes.
That afternoon?
So during the time that the Faro scan was being completed by Sergeant Cody, we need to basically stay out of an initial area, because if you are in the range of the Faro scanner, your image will also show up on whatever he documents. So it's not customary to be in that location. You move out of the area so the Faro scanner can take its images or collect its points of data to create what it does. So we went out of the area to one far end of what I would consider the full crime scene, or the area of the crime scene within the barrier tape or the crime scene tape. What I had us do was basically a step and walk, where we lined up at one end and each of us took one step at a time, looking for any object or item which appeared to be out of place or which may have probative value to this matter or this criminal incident, looking for anything biological or trace evidence or physical evidence which may have been in that area. And we walked down one half of the scene, one step at a time, in a line, so we wouldn't missing anything. We got to the end and we rotated, or basically swung our line around and walked back to the other end to provide a systematic search of the entire area.
Now, that would have avoided the ground zero area, though?
It would have gone around the ground zero area.
Did you document with photographs in addition to Sergeant Page and Sergeant Datzman? Did you also take photographs at the scene?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to move, asked to show you State's Exhibit 78. There's quite a bundle here. I'm going to ask you to take care not to display them to the jury.
Yes, sir.
Just ask you to look at these 78 to 137 and tell me if they are true and accurate representations of what you examined, both on the 14th at the crime scene as well as on February the 15th at the autopsy in Terre Haute. May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Sidebar conference conducted.
Just to deal with it today, I thought, since he's the photographer, I want to introduce the autopsy photos through him, but not publish them. I want to publish them through Dr. Cole.
Oh, okay. So have them admitted, but not for publication. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be more efficient.
We have no objection.
But then publish them with your pathologist?
Right.
Okay.
So the other photographs, hopefully I'll publish them today. That was my...
Okay.
Sidebar conference concluded.
He's done. Mr. Luttrell, he's done.
Okay. Are those true and accurate depictions of the scene, both on the 14 in the areas that you just described to the jury, as well as on the 15th in Terre Haute?
They are. I would move the admission of these items, Your Honor, 78 through 137.
Could I just have a minute, Your Honor, to look at these?
You may.
Thank you. May we approach?
Yes.
Sidebar conference conducted.
Let's go over here because it looks like we're going to be talking.
This is cleaner.
Okay. But you're objecting?
Yes.
Okay.
The objection is that these are cumulative and they tend to be more prejudicial than probative. Number 93, that's cumulative. And number 94, 123, 124, 126. And also I think 126 is mostly irrelevant. It doesn't really, see what I'm saying? It doesn't tend to prove anything more. So I'd make a relevance objection on that. 127, the same. Kind of 400, 42, 403, 121, the same. 131, 133, that has in here too. 137, 131, the same. 131, 137.
Okay. What's your response? Go ahead.
My response is that the initial photographs, these photographs are appropriate, and any prejudicial effect does not greatly outweigh the probative value. There's great probative value in each of these photographs. The repetitive nature, there are different photographs from different areas of the crime scene. The blood spatter expert will testify, and his testimony will be aided by these photographs. Secondly, the jury has been advised during voir dire, we asked questions that this was and in their jury questionnaires, that there are these kind of photographs, that they're in nature to prejudicial a little bit. And I think that based upon this, and if they'd been offered to demonstrate an expert's testimony, which I understand the expert's not here today to lay that foundation, but I believe that would definitely be laid, even without the tendency to show compassion, is substantially outweighed by the probative value.
I agree to the extent that there's no foundation at this point, but they'll be able to lay it with his...
Right. And that's the only ones that you were objecting to.
No, I objected to...
I'm sorry, you did 93 and 94 as well.
Mainly because I think they're cumulative. I mean, honestly, in looking at them, if you start loading them...
Right.
It does become prejudicial. These tend to prove...
Right.
So that's my basis for objection.
Okay. Well, and let me just... Here, do it. I'll show them...
So in that sidebar, literally nobody could complete a fucking sentence. So they just keep like talking over each other, like in the back and forth. So they couldn't complete their own comments. Hi, DB.
Admitted all over your objection. The ones that you have not objected to, you are not objecting to other than what you talked about here?
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as the autopsy photos, I'll admit them conditionally upon the completion of the foundation that you say you're going to be laying to assist the expert and assist the jury.
So the state wants to bring in the pictures that Datsman and another CSI who comes in and takes pictures at the autopsy. They're going to admit them through Datsman because he's actually the person who took the photos, but they're not going to discuss the photos until Dr. Kaur, the pathologist, is on the stand. So that's what this whole thing is about. And then there's a handful that Rosie objects to, just saying like they literally show the same thing. Even if the guy, turns 1 inch to the right, takes a new picture, it's still the same. It's still the same thing.
With the presentation.
And we're just not going to publish right now?
Right. Right. We're not going to get into that.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're admitted under condition?
The ones that he has, specifically 93 and 94, I'm going to admit those over his objection. The autopsy photos that he's objected to, I'm admitting those, provided you can continue to lay the foundation with the forensic pathologist.
They're half admitted?
Hmm?
They're half admitted?
Yeah, they're half admitted if you finish your foundation. Because I understand that we're doing it because this guy's here and we don't want to have him come again. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay?
Sidebar conference concluded.
All right, gentlemen, I'll show that states exhibits 78 through 137 inclusive are admitted. I note the objection to 93 and 94, to 123, to 128, and 131 to 137. And those will be conditional with your forensic pathologist, presuming that you can complete the foundation that you have started with this witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think that's appropriate.
Judge, would you mind, just because I'm trying to take some notes, just reciting that again for me real quick? I just wasn't able to keep up.
You have not objected to 78 through 90.
Thank you.
You have not objected to 91 to 92. So those are admitted without objection.
Thank you.
You've objected to 93 and 94 as cumulative. I've overruled that objection and will show those admitted over objection. You have not objected to 95 through 120, so those are admitted without objection. You have not objected to 121 and 122 and to 129 and 130, so those are admitted without objection. You have objected to 123 through 128 and 131 through 137, and those are admitted over your objection, again, provided the state can complete the foundation with the forensic pathologist.
Thank you for that.
Because we're not going to admit, those aren't going to be published today. They will be published with the pathologist.
Yes, I neglected to bring up something when we were all up there, but I don't think we need to go aside, Your Honor.
Just have a question or need to get information.
Sidebar conference conducted.
I have two boxes with my evidence items that I'm going to be showing him and that he's going to be identifying as we proceed. I don't know how late you want to go, but I just let you know that. I don't want you being surprised that that's happening.
Okay. We're going to go until, well, it's 10 till 5. We'll probably go till 6.
Okay.
So I don't know where that puts you or where that puts you. I mean, that means cross.
It puts me here until 6. Yeah.
Well,
I
and
love
then-
Rose's response to that. She's like, I don't know where that puts you. And he's like, yeah, you do. You just said we're staying till 6. So that puts me here till 6. That's where I'll be.
potentially cross overnight or tomorrow morning.
Just wait till tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Sidebar conference concluded.
That becomes irrelevant because Latrell can't even finish his direct by 6.
Did you go to the Deer Creek Bank sometime not long after your arrival to address the question whether you'd been informed that clothing was found along the bank?
Yes, I went along the creek's bank, yes.
Did you document that with photographs?
Yes.
We'll look at State's Exhibit 78. What is this depicting, sir?
It depicts the north side of Deer Creek and the water as it appeared on that day. And then in the kind of lower middle section, an article of clothing sticking partially out of the water appears to be stuck on debris within the creek.
There'll be other photographs later, soon to follow. But are there pictured, without being able to discern them clearly, are there other items that are contained within this frame that you later have close-up photos of?
Yes.
Would you orient this so the jury can relate it to the items that's in the foreground?
Oriented in, it's in Deer Creek.
With the court's permission, I'll ask you to come down.
You may.
If you could stand off to the side so you don't interrupt the jury, can you, and using that pointer?
There are items here which were later collected.
If you touch that screen,
I know that now.
we'll react to it.
I apologize. And then also items in this area which were later collected. This is what I would call the north side of the creek bank, and then opposite being the south side.
And Liberty and Abigail's bodies are in what direction from this?
Almost a straight direction to the north of these items here.
So upstream from
This item, near these items, and then in a direct northerly line, probably 50 to 75 feet away from the bank.
And what item of clothing is in the foreground here?
It appears to be, this is an item of jeans, blue jeans.
What do we see in photograph 79?
So this is from basically looking from the opposite direction. The previous photograph would have been taken from somewhere down in this area, looking this direction. And then the jeans are actually here behind this limb or branch or vine that's hanging down. And then these are the other items that are caught. And there's also, I believe, an item here, which I believe is a footy sock or ankle-less sock.
basically looking in Deer Creek, looking from the north side of the creek across to the south side. The gene material, the gene item is in this area. The other items that were mentioned previously would be in this area. Yeah. And then the sock would be just out of frame.
In between this area and here in the jeans, what do we see there underwater?
Oh, yes. I have glare. There's an article of clothing here. I believe it's like a hooded sweatshirt, a fleece type hooded sweatshirt material. And then this is more close up of those clothing items caught, the tie-dyed shirt. This is like a handkerchief or bandana type item. And then a Nike athletic shoe, a pink footed sock after collection removed from the waterborne bag to photograph it.
And that's photograph 82. And this is, we see in the upper part of that photograph, ERT. Is that a reference to the FBI agents?
That would be an individual employed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This is what I would refer to a string shirt, a string top shirt or camisole, possibly. Just as it's not a t-shirt, but I would call it a camisole shirt, also collected from that area. The darkness of it doesn't really make it visible. It was collected from the same area that the other items were, again collected with the debris around it, and then removed to show the item individually.
Does the item shown in that photograph 83, did it indicate its size?
It does. It indicates a brand of faded glory and a size of large, 10 to 12.
84.
This is the jeans that were pictured in one of the previous photographs collected. They are documented in an inside-out fashion. That's how they were found. And then string off of them from another item, and then what appears to be underwear or women's undergarment on them. You can tell that they're inside out because of the pockets being observed here, and collected from the Deer Creek and removed to document for photographing of the individual item.
Picture 85.
Yeah, this is previously pictured in one of the other photos. This is what I would call a tie-dyed t-shirt. It is indicating an extra large shirt from a color tone brand. It's inside out as well. It is also has debris from the creek material. Again, removed and documented with photography.
86.
Another sock, this one, a footy type or ankleless sock, again collected from Deer Creek, individually photographed with some debris on it. It's that's what I would call a black or dark navy sock. This is that handkerchief or bandana type material that was observed in one of the other photographs, again collected with the debris and then pulled out of the water from the bag to document it individually.
This is photograph States Exhibit 88.
This is the athletic shoe previously found in other photographs, Nike brand, indicated by the logo of the company. An athletic shoe found in the water, removed from the water, with the water in the bag, and then removed from that bag to individually document it and package it up.
It appears to be a left shoe. Is that correct?
It appears to be, yes. And it's also still tied.
That's the condition it was in when you removed it?
Yes.
89.
This is the gray object, which is in one of the previous photographs underwater. It's what I would call a hooded sweatshirt, a zip-up hooded sweatshirt, the fleece type or cotton type material. Again, wet from the water being collected from Deer Creek, removed, and then individually photographed.
This was the submerged garment that was between the jeans and the clump that had the shoe.
Correct.
And the tie-dyed shirt, what are those strings? Are they attached to that garment?
I believe there's some sort of a tie for the hooded portion of it, best that I can tell.
For the record, we're talking about the tannish,
which is also depicted over here and appears to go up into the hooded section.
I'm going to ask you to remain there, and we're going to move to the photographs that you took documenting portions of Ground Zero. States Exhibit 90, what do you see there?
This is a photograph of the area, roughly a portion of the area which you refer to as Ground Zero. These are the bodies of the two deceased individuals, the two victims.
This is the body of Abigail and the body of Liberty. They are a few feet from each other, almost in a perpendicular way, with their feet closer to each other than their heads. This is also a depiction of what I would say the area looked like, with deadfall and with leaves and debris and twigs, sticks, branches, and the area, you know, as it appears in most of the area around where the bodies were located, and the area around or along creek and around the floodplain and the river bottom.
There's a discolored area just to the, as we're looking at the photograph, to the left of Abigail's shoe. What was that?
That's an area of blood, a pool of blood.
Photograph, States Exhibit 91. Is that in the foreground? What's that?
This is the area in the previous photograph of blood found on the ground and over the leaves and sticks in the area. The previous photograph would have been taken from over in here, and the girls are kind of laying next to each other, closer at the feet and farther at the head.
Did you observe any blood on the feet, the bare feet of Liberty?
Yes. And I think there's actually a little bit visible right here on the feet.
And which portion of the...
I'd call that the heel on the right foot.
And did you notice any blood anywhere else on that right leg?
Yeah. There's several areas of blood on her thigh.
I'm talking about the lower part of the leg.
Yeah, later this picture, nothing is depicted, but there's other areas of blood on the lower leg, particularly on the back of the leg. There are some areas.
Photograph 92. Is that?
So this is the previously discussed area or pool of blood. This is the right foot that was previous in the last picture. Then there is areas of blood on the thigh, the hand, up the arm, on the torso, at the neck, again on the left arm, which is extended above the head, areas of blood throughout the body and in between the thighs and the areas on the thighs.
You took close-up photographs of both victims. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of that?
To document the scene and to document the items as we found them at the scene, to give information later to potential analysis to anyone analyzing anything else that was found at the scene.
This photograph of Liberty's body, is this what you saw as you were standing over her?
This is also, there were limbs and branches that were placed over the bodies. One actually went through here, and you can see it appears that limb actually transferred some debris and some decay onto the into the armpit area. You can see a large area of blood, movement of blood, the incised wounds or wounds caused by what I would refer to as a sharp instrument or sharp-edged instrument, blood movement up away from the injury and moving up the face and into the area of the eye and the nose.
Photograph 94. It's another from the looking at the top of the head down.
Again, this is
that gaping wound, is that essentially covered by a stick or branch?
Several of the injuries were covered, yes. Was it fully covered or completely enveloping? I would say no, but obscuring would be a term that I would use to describe it. Yeah, again, it's a very similar photograph to the last one taken from a different angle.
The process of the two victims here, did you choose to begin with one in terms of the specific concentration and then move on to the other, or did you do both at the same time?
No. You can't be in two spots at once. And we concentrated our efforts first upon Liberty and documenting her body and removing her body, and then moved over to Abigail's body and documenting it and removal of that body.
Squadron Ohio, you had 3 crime scene investigators and Jim Cody, a fourth for a portion of this. You could have had 2 on to process each victim. Is that correct? As the same simultaneously?
That's plausible, but it's not what I would consider to be the best option.
Why is that?
For us, because they are in pretty close proximity to each other and are working over each other. And again, each of us individually adding our collective abilities and knowledge to the removal and collection of evidence that we found. Again, I go back to the statement I made earlier that All of us together are much smarter than any of us individually.
You focused on each victim one at a time?
Yes, we focus systematically on the removal of the sticks, and then we work our way down and work our way through each individual victim and dedicated out time specifically to one and then moved on to the other one.
Let me ask you about this. This is the right hand of liberty.
Yes.
Was your role, part of your role was to collect the evidence that was taken from the scene?
Yes.
And did you do anything with relation to this right hand and wrist and portion of the forearm that the jury can see?
So in my training and experience, hands often have evidence on them. We looked very closely at the hands to determine if there were any defensive wounds or anything which may have been transferred or contacted with the suspect. We looked at the hands very closely and then swabbed the hand areas. And I believe there was an item also collected from one of the hands.
You personally swabbed that?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you did when you swabbed. How did you swab it? What protections did you take to make sure you did not violate the integrity of that swab?
So the first thing is you wear rubber gloves, and it's essentially my practice to wear 2 pairs of gloves. If one rips, you have a second line. And also it allows you to more frequently change your gloves without having.
Also, it's him that wears the 2 pairs of gloves.
That feels like wearing 2 condoms.
That's why I brought it up earlier. I'm pretty sure it makes it less effective.
Right.
And not more.
Exactly.
Having sweaty hands or wet hands, because it's hard to put rubber gloves on with wet hands. So wearing rubber gloves, collecting those items to not contaminate the swab that I'm utilizing or contaminate the area that I might be touching, and then utilizing what I always refer to as a cotton swab or a long wooden handle with a cotton tipped end. These aren't Q-tips.
Like a Q-tips with a long.
These aren't Q-tips.
I love that he cuts him off. So as he's saying these are not Q-tips, Latrell's like, oh, so they're like Q-tips. He's like, no, they're not Q-tips.
I mean, they're like pretty similar to Q-tips.
He's like, they're not Q-tips. Latrell's like, oh.
I mean, they're like long Q-tips, except they only have cotton on one end. It's a Q-tip.
not according. He's like, no.
But similar with a long stick?
Yes.
And did you do that with this particular wrist?
Yes.
Area.
Yes.
And what did you do with the swab after what do you do with the swab on the wrist? Explain that to the jury.
Well, you mean, how did I swab it, or?
Yes. How did you swab it?
So, I mean, basically, it's very simple. You're trying to collect any potential touch DNA or transfer of DNA, skin cells left by the individual involved. And basically, you take a swab and you just rub on the skin, trying to pick up those cells. It's a very simple task as far as the complexity of it. I mean, it's just rubbing it at a brisk rate and then collecting that item.
And what do you do with that swab?
But then wouldn't you also get the DNA of the person's skin? Like, you would get the DNA of the girl's skin. You'd get their skin cells. So did they get their skin cells?
Oh, no.
I mean, if you're swabbing someone's skin for skin cells.
Yeah, but I don't think that's not like reported. Because it's their own body. You know what I mean? So it doesn't show up like on a report.
Okay.
What's up, Luna?
I mean, I feel like it should. Like, in terms of, like, whether you did the swab properly or not. One way to tell would be if you had the victim's DNA there, or whatever, skin cells.
Yeah.
Like, if those swabs don't have it, then you didn't do it.
Like, to remove that from the sample. So you're just looking for other DNA. Because they have their own DNA.
Like, for example, in Idaho, they did under the fingernails, like, of some people, and their own DNA was under, like, they didn't find anything but their own DNA under their fingernails.
Right.
Like, that to me is like, okay, so now I know you did check under their fingernails, right? Because it's expected. That should be there. But if there wasn't, then I'd be like, well, then maybe you did the swab wrong, or the
Well,
collection wrong.
No, what I'm saying is like they don't typically report that. Like you're not gonna be like, okay, like swabbed her arm and it was only her DNA. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not like how it would be reported. I don't know how. I don't know. Yeah, I think it would just be eliminated from everything.
But then they report it on other places.
What do you mean?
Like other things that they swabbed for DNA, they report to us when they find Libby and Abby's on it.
Right.
Only.
If it's an object that isn't their own person.
Mm. Oh, you mean their own physical bodies?
Right. If it's an item, then yeah. If it's their own person, then it's excluded. It doesn't do. It's not there. They're not using it.
If you're looking, you don't have your DNA thing pulled up, do you? I could pull it up. Oh, you do?
Uh-huh.
Can you see so they're talking about the wrist now, but I think they do they do like a shoulder or something. They do the inner thigh, like they do random things.
Oh yeah.
And I cannot read that. I'm too blind. Okay, so when you're looking at that, if you're looking at those, like your physical bodies swabs, did they report either of the girls as? So what comes up?
So like
those left arm. What's that say?
So like right thigh, they take a swab. It had possible blood, and the result was no confirmatory test. Left breast, swab, blood, unknown male, not enough for a profile. Right breast, swab, blood, unknown male, not enough for a profile. Left arm, fibrous material, which is a hair, not enough DNA for analysis. Left wrist, swab, possible blood, no male DNA present. So they just don't include it. There's unknown male DNA on Libby's breasts.
Right.
So
then, yeah, I get it then. So not their physical bodies.
Right.
But the things on their bodies, they were.
Yeah. Correct.
Got it.
Okay. Let me bring this back over here.
Envelope, like a manila envelope or a paper bag. You utilize paper objects to collect these items because they're biological. Plastic is never used because of the opportunity for it to be degrade or mold or mildew inside the plastic.
And you did that with each individual swab. I don't want to go through each one. I just want, did you?
Each swab would have been individually packaged of its own packaging, or with itself, no two swabs. Unless you have a large area, you may use two swabs to cover more space with two swabs. But each individual swab of each individual location is collected individually and packaged individually.
Before you move on to the next one?
That's correct.
This is the left hand. What, did you do the same process with the left hand?
I completed the same process, yes. Particularly focusing on an area around the wrist where there is less of what is presumed blood on the hands in this area.
Why are you focusing on an area that has the less blood?
So one of the issues, if you collect the swab from the area of blood, appears to be a large area of blood. So a single depositor, most likely. We ascertained that this blood came from the victim themselves. So we would expect to find the victim's DNA. If there was DNA from or skin cell transfer from a suspect, then that would be muted out by the large amount of DNA which is in the blood. You're talking about trying to collect a skin cell or two potentially over the blood. And if I could use a reference, when tested by a DNA analyst, it would scream of the individual who deposited the blood, in this case, Liberty. And then the suspect will be muted out. So if, for example, you were in the Coliseum in Fort Wayne for a concert and every seat was filled and everybody shouted one word and somebody in the middle of the arena said a word softly, you wouldn't hear the soft word, you would hear all of the other words. So it basically would mute out
the blood would mute out any potential DNA covered by that blood.
The next two slides show a portion of the right thigh. Is that correct?
This is the thigh areas of blood, which appear to be drops, but areas of blood that move from one side of the thigh to the other, indicating movement of the blood. This is the thigh, and you can see the goosebumps on the thigh, as well as the different areas. Some of this may be lighter areas.
So I thought that was weird. Is that normal? He says you can see the goosebumps on the thigh. Is that normal for skin to still get goosebumps? I don't think I've ever heard anybody ever say that. Like, I'm like, can you still get goosebumps after you're dead?
I'll have to do a Cecil.
Yeah, Cecil that, and then we'll admit it. I'll allow it. Yeah, it doesn't seem yeah, I'm like, he's like, you can see the goosebumps. I'm like, what? What do you mean you could see goosebumps? Hey, truth over verdict. Maybe I don't think I've ever heard it from any case I've ever followed. And if I have, it's not something that yeah, it's a stage, like a stage in death, like where the whole body just gets goosebumps. And if so, when does that stage occur?
Okay, so this says, yes, dead bodies can exhibit goosebumps due to a process called rigor mortis. Muscles contract and pull on hair follicles.
I know of rigor mortis. I guess I just never heard that you get goosebumps during it. That's interesting. Okay.
It says the claim is deceased bodies can get goosebumps, and then the rating is mostly true. While it is true that dead bodies exhibit goosebumps, the biological process that triggers, damn it, the fleshy bumps is different in the deceased than it is the living. Oh, this is Snopes.
When the tiny muscles attached to hair follicles contract as part of rigor mortis, they can cause the hairs to stand on end, creating the appearance of goosebumps. Yeah, I've never heard that.
So is it on both girls?
No, he's talking about, I think he's talking about Libby's thigh. Yeah, of all the trials that I've covered, you think I would have heard that. And maybe I have, and it just never registered to me.
Areas of transfer of blood. It also may be just the dirt and debris from the area in the woods.
Is this the same thigh from a different angle?
Yeah, same thigh, different angle. The blood goes here, and then it goes up and over the thigh and down, indicating these are trails which to me indicate movement of blood.
So this is a copy of a photo the jury's already seen. Were you using an alternative light source once it became dark enough for it to be effective?
Yes, we utilized an alternative light source to look for biological evidence such as saliva or semen in the area around the bodies or on the clothing as well.
And when you did so, tell the jury what occurred.
I believe that Sergeant Datzman saw a reflection which was not immediately visible to Sergeant Page and myself. The alternative light source is purple in color to the naked eye. The light source doesn't react without a filter, and the filter is eye goggles or eyeglasses, which are orange in color. Those two wavelengths then allow you to see the fluorescence of certain biologics, such as semen or saliva. We could not see the reflection of other things because of the orange glasses. But Sergeant Datzman was not wearing the orange-colored filtered glasses. He saw a reflection on something, and as we got closer in this area, we found what was a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge, unspent cartridge. I would call it a cartridge because it is unfired, still contains a bullet, still contains an undamaged primer.
Next photograph.
A little closer.
100.
A little closer up of the bullet, of the cartridge as it was found next to the leg of the ankle area of Liberty.
And another close-up?
The cartridge located in this area, each photograph basically getting a little closer to the area.
Let's go back to this. What did you do after Sergeant Datzman's discovery, drawing your attention to this area, and then the observations that were captured in these photographs?
What did you do with respect to this item?
So after Sergeant Datzman noticed the item, we were aware of what it was through training and experience in firearms with law enforcement, that it appeared to be either a casing, a spent cartridge, or an actual cartridge. And then as we got closer, we could see the primer in this area is undamaged or unfired, and then documented it with photographs, and then it was collected and placed into an individual paper container to collect it as an item of evidence.
Collected by whom?
Collected by me.
How many bullets or cartridges or cartridge cases did you uncover and take away from the scene?
This is the only cartridge collected at the scene, and we searched the area, and then it was again searched, and no other cartridges were found.
And did you placed it in an envelope with other items?
No, it was individually packaged by itself.
What happened to it after you packaged it?
It was taken by me to the Indiana State Police District.
That's where they say it was found. It was found by Libby's ankle. And the girl's feet are closer together in proximity than their heads. So it's in between the girls, but closer to Libby's ankle. That's where they're saying they found it.
14 headquarters in West Lafayette, and placed into temporary evidence storage for further documentation on a property record receipt, and then was held in evidence to be further examined at a later date by a forensic firearms examiner.
And that's what you did with every item that you collected at the scene?
I put each item that was collected, documented on a property record receipt. I placed it into the control of the Indiana State Police Laboratory.
Your temporary storage, is that an area that's off limits to other, or who has access to the temporary storage?
At that point in time, these are lockers which have a specific key lock. The only personnel at that time on that date to have access to those lockers would have been myself, Sergeant Datzman, the evidence clerk, Nikki Benson, and my immediate supervisor, First Sergeant Scott Gilbert, and his immediate supervisor, Lieutenant Andy Warman at that time. Andy Lorman at that time. And it would be unusual for anyone other than Nikki Benson, Dwayne Datzman, or myself to access those items on a routine and regular basis.
And then at some point after the discovery and identification and collection of this particular cartridge, you then moved the body of Liberty.
Yes, it was after the body was moved and placed into a fresh new body bag, and was also placed onto a fresh, clean, unused white sheet to wrap the body in to preserve any items from falling off the body before it was placed into the body bag. The body bag was then zipped and sealed for preservation.
And who assisted? Who participated in that process?
I assisted in that process, as well as the coroner's office and deputy coroner at that time, J.D. Cree, who transported the body from the area.
Were you present at the scene once you arrived at Ground Zero to do your work? Who had access to Ground Zero while you were there until the deputy coroner entered to assist you with Liberty's body?
Well, upon my arrival, Deputy Yoder and Deputy Giancolo were what I would consider in the area of Ground Zero, but not directly next to the bodies, but they were in the general area. And then we maintained this area around them, and probably 25 to 35 feet around them, which was not entered by anyone else other than myself, Sergeant Page, Sergeant Datzman, Sergeant Cody after he had completed his FARO scan. And until it was time to collect the bodies, no one else that I'm aware of was directly in the area which I would call Ground Zero or immediately around the victims.
What does this depict, sir?
So this depicts the backside of Liberty, the victim in this, with debris stuck to her, as well as stuck dirt, some areas of blood, apparent blood, an area of apparent blood under the body and back. Again, more debris on the back. So shoulder area down to, in this picture, to just below the calf.
Once you removed her body, did you then examine the area that was underneath the body?
Yeah, we examined this entire area
immediately underneath for any items which may have been of a probative nature to this investigation. And I don't believe any item specifically was found.
What quantity of blood did you observe underneath the body of Liberty?
I mean, I would say there was a fair amount in one concentrated area in here, but compared to the previously observed area between the two girls, that was probably the area of the largest amount of presumed blood.
The area that you called the pool?
Yes.
Now, this is Abigail's body, apparently. Looks like a stick has been removed from over her.
Yep. I mean, there are sticks here and here, which had been placed on her. And then, I mean, in this picture, it depicts a hooded sweatshirt as well as an injury to the neck.
Next photograph is 105. And would you describe to the jury the position of Abigail's arms?
Well, so the arms go from a bent angle, a very acute bent angle from the forearms. So the hands would be inside the sleeves of this sweatshirt, covering them, fully covering the hands on both sides, and then down to the elbow, and then the upper arm here to the shoulder. And they're both in a very similar position. I guess probably the best way I can describe it is maybe just standing here as a fighter stance, or in a, upward position as they were up against her in this manner.
Next photograph, I'm going to show a little bit different angle of the same thing. This is
Yeah, the sticks have been removed from this photograph.
Exhibit 106.
Again, the hands fully encased within the hooded sweatshirt, forearm down the elbow, forearm down to the elbow, the upper arm up to the shoulder. As I recall, it says Delphi Swimming on the hooded sweatshirt, and then a pair of jeans soiled with apparent mud and dirt and debris, and then also some wetness and moisture about the entire area.
Did you feel the skin of both the bodies of Liberty and Abigail?
Yeah, both were cool to the touch. Rigor mortis was pronounced and set in both individuals.
What was the condition of the jeans that are on the body of Abigail?
They're wet, particularly in the areas where they're bunched up. The tops of them are beginning to dry, but the underneath side and then the top area is wet to the touch.
Was that consistent with condensation?
I would say no. I would say it's more consistent with being in water at some point in time.
The condensation, I don't, from that point, we're already having drying here, and I would.
He changes that. He says right now it's like from being in water at some time. He'll change that and say that it could be due to like the biologicals and possible blood and so on and so forth. He doesn't know why they were wet.
Not expect to still have the wetness level on the items from just simple condensation.
107 is a slightly different angle. Do you recall the size of the jeans that were removed from the creek?
I'm sorry, I don't recall a specific size. I think they were 26 waistband size.
Does that show the way you observed the blood on the...
Yes, this is a true, clear, and accurate representation as I found it.
And this is a close-up of the injury?
And again, this would be a sharp edge instrument injury with apparent blood and an area of pooling of blood at the left side of the neck.
The left hand here.
Yeah, this is the left hand with the sleeves pushed down. You see the dirt and debris, and forest decay as well, also on the hands themselves, areas.
And who adjusted the sleeve to get that photo?
I did.
And why?
Just to observe the hands and to examine the hands to determine if there was any items of probative evidence immediately available to us, to determine if there were any injuries, any blood on the hands, or any other things on the hands which we needed to be able to preserve and document.
You knew you would be transporting them up a steep hill?
Yes.
And then onto another facility or to a facility for an autopsy?
That's correct.
In that process, did you want to try to preserve anything that may disengage or come off the body?
Yeah. We want to limit any potential loss of evidence.
Did you find any blood on the left hand of Abigail?
Not that I recall. There was no area of obvious blood.
Is this the right hand?
This is the right hand, also with the sleeve pushed down or pulled down to expose the hand itself.
Notice any blood on the right hand of Abigail?
No.
Photograph or State's Exhibit 112. What are we seeing there?
Again, one of Abigail's hands It depicts basically the fingernails looking for any blood or injury or transfer or fibers, which would indicate that there was something on the fingernails that potentially transferred from the suspect.
With both victims, if you saw something adhering to the hands, would you remove it?
I did, yes.
What did you do with it after you removed it?
It was packaged in its own individual paper container, properly sealed and properly documented on a property record and receipt, transported to the Indiana State Police Post at Lafayette and held as evidence in temporary storage, and then entered into the lab system to be documented as an item of evidence within the Indiana State Police laboratory system.
Did you adjust in some fashion the clothing of Abigail to, since she was covered with that sweatshirt, did you adjust the clothing to take a look at it?
Yeah, we pulled the items of clothing up to look for any other injuries or any potential cause or signs of death or injury, blunt force trauma, bullet wounds, gunshot wounds, other edged weapon injuries, bruising, any other items which may indicate manner and cause of death, or that might also give us cause to look for any other specific item relating to that injury.
Item 113, or Exhibit 113, was that this act in process.
This is that act in process, exposing the torso area of Abigail. This is the belly button, the upper ribs, the lower part of the abdomen, and the upper part of the hips. Looking for any injury or obvious injury underneath the clothing. Any areas of blood, just basically looking through the layers to determine if there's anything in this area which would indicate cause and manner or injury.
Did you observe any blood or any injuries?
We did not.
And that is a gray, what type of garment is there at the top?
So this is a shirt, and then what I would refer to this gray as I have daughters myself. I would refer to it as a sports bra type of item.
Next photograph.
This is the left foot of Abigail with the shoe removed, the Converse shoe removed, showing that there is dirt and debris on the bottom of the foot, indicating that most likely those shoes had been off at some point.
Exhibit 115.
Yes. Again, the lower part of the body, the jeans, which appear to be far too large for Abigail, with debris on them, mud, dirt. Also, I believe you can see some of the wetness in the legs here, kind of the line of wetness along here, showing moisture and the amount of wetness, and also the darkness of the material here, indicating its moisture. It's still being moist. And then these lighter areas still beginning to dry.
He really likes the word moist. Just saying.
Eye to the touch.
State's Exhibit 116. What does that show us?
This is the right foot of Abigail, showing again the Converse Chubb Taylor tennis shoe, the lower foot area, lower leg area, and the jeans with debris and dirt, and even dirt inside the shoe, debris inside the shoe.
What kind of dirt, how would you describe that soil area along the arch, the inside arch of the shoe?
So in this area, I refer to it as muddy or decay and debris potentially from the immediate area or the immediate area along the river, along the creek, along Deer Creek. The shoes themselves were also moist to the touch. I mean, there's basically the entire area. There are bits and pieces of what I would call decaying leaves and branches throughout, as well as the dirt and the mud and the sand.
Given the texture of this dirt you see along the side there, now I'm going to do it. Did you see any kind of soil like that anywhere in that area?
I mean, this is consistent with soil along the whole river bottom area. And it's also consistent with silt that would found in the Deer Creek area, along the riverbank and in the water. Sandy siltiness again, the same sort of sandy siltiness from the area along Deer Creek. This picture again depicts the arms as they were after the sleeves had been pushed down to photograph the hands. And this photograph, basically, this is another tennis shoe, an athletic shoe. It is similar and consistent with the one recovered from the creek, which was pictured earlier, and was basically until we began to take our steps to, like, do each step and remove the branches, document the hands, and then begin to move articles of clothing that we noticed that the shoe was under here. It was basically obscured by the hooded sweatshirt that she was wearing at the time. And then the sole of the shoe itself it's got mud on it itself, dirt and debris.
And is that, now you have moved her body?
Yes, her body has been,
Not just her sweatshirt, but her body?
yeah, the body has been moved at this point to document the backside of the body and document the area immediately underneath the body. You can see that there is an area of apparent blood on the back of the sweatshirt, and I believe the sweatshirt said German. Areas of debris, and you can also see the moisture and the moistness and the discolor or the darkness of the jean material. And then in the Nikes, the Nike symbol on the athletic shoe has similarities between it and the previously observed shoe. This would appear to be the right shoe of the opposite one previously shown.
So that would be a difference in this shoe, and the one in the previous one was a left and one was a right.
That's usually how they come.
Did you see any, other than this blood here underneath, within pretty much
Oh, one's the right, one's the left. Well, yeah, that's normally how you get them. Literal.
underneath the neck area, or, kind of the shoulder blade area of Abigail?
That's correct. So as she's rolled over, this would be, the top of the back and the lower neck area, the right shoulder area, and then the left shoulder would be out of the frame.
Other than that, blood and the blood that was shown to the jury in photographs of the front and primarily left side of the neck and on the chin, did you find any other signs of blood on the body of Abigail?
No, not that I recall.
Or the clothing of Abigail?
The clothing that she was wearing on her upper torso. But yeah, no obvious blood on the lower items.
We now remove the shoe. What did you find when you removed the shoe?
So again, for reference, the shoe would have been in this location here. And then what we found here was a cellular telephone underneath the body. And you can see condensation and moisture on top of the screen, and the darkness is the screen area, and then the purple is the actual case around the cellular device.
That was 119. This is 120.
Yeah, a very similar picture, a little closer up for reference.
Does anybody find it weird that the phone is underneath the body and yet with this shoe and has condensation all over? Like, it's so weird to me. Why isn't it being absorbed by the by the clothing on the body? Hmm. 2018, Mar.
Unless it was in an area where there wasn't really much clothes, like if it was.
It's under
her
Abby,
back.
under that sweatshirt.
Yeah, but was the sweatshirt like hiked up in the back?
Not
You know what
in
I
the
mean?
pictures. It doesn't look like it's hiked up in the back. No. Was it? I mean, I don't think anybody testifies to anything like that, and the pictures don't show it like that. It's just weird.
But again, the purple colored case. Actually, I believe the case when we later turned it over, was a Harry Potter themed telephone case. And you can see the condensation more clearly in this area, and the amount of moisture that's actually on the screen. But this was located directly under what I would call the small of the back of Abigail.
Under the shoe?
Yes, mostly obscured by the shoe, almost completely covered by the shoe.
And this is, you flipped it over?
Yes, this is the backside of phone case indicating Gryffindor, which I have not read the Harry Potter books, but I'm told it's a Harry Potter reference.
What is State's Exhibit 122?
This is the area.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I could be completely wrong. I've never experimented with it.
Area closest to the tree where Liberty's body was found. This is a smaller pool of blood that was directly under her head and neck and upper shoulder area looking downward from that tree. Again, it looks like it's, maybe a couple feet away, but it looks like it's maybe much farther than it is with some distortion for the angle. It's fairly close to the base of this large tree.
And what was the purpose of taking this photograph?
To document the area, the proximity to the tree, and to document the area under where after the body had been removed.
You may return to your seat, Sergeant Ojai. Did you also have the body of Abigail transported in the same fashion that you described?
Yes, each body was placed onto a fresh, clean sheet, like a bed sheet, approximately the size of a twin bed sheet, to be wrapped and to protect it from loss of any items inside the body bag. Even though the body bag is new, never been used, and in a fresh packaging, this just helps to preserve and protect the entire area around the body and any items which may come off the clothing or off the body. They go into the body bag, and then the body bag is zipped and sealed with a seal which is initialed, and I initialed both of those seals myself.
You collected blood from the scene.
Yes.
And how did you, other than you've described the swabbing process of Liberty's wrist, what blood did you collect at the scene?
Areas of blood from the ground, areas of blood from the bodies. There was also a tree which had some apparent blood on it. Again, the items were all collected individually, packaged individually, and taken directly to the Indiana State Police for storage, the Indiana State Police post for storage, prior to entry into the lab system.
So from the tree, from near the tree, and then the areas on the ground, different areas where you saw blood?
Yes.
Were there markers placed on the ground to help document which item was being collected from where?
Correct.
So that you could tell the laboratory this particular blood was found at a particular evidence marker.
That's correct.
Each item individually packaged?
Each item individually packaged of its own, in its own packaging. No two collected items would be packaged together.
What is your understanding of what happened with the victims once they were placed in the body bags and removed from the scene? Where did they go?
They went into the vehicle, which was a van, what I call a cargo van of the Carroll County Coroner's Office. Under their care, those bags were sealed. And then, to my knowledge, the Deputy Coroner, J.D. Cree, took them directly to Terre Haute to await the autopsy the following day by Dr. Kaur.
Dr. Cole is a physician who is a forensic pathologist in Terre Haute.
That's correct.
Before you left the scene, what did you do with all the items that you had packaged, that you collected and packaged?
Before I left the scene,
yes.
This is Brian Olehi. I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. Brian Olehi. And he says it was found under the lower back.
Gathered everything together individually. They were all placed into my vehicle with me and with no one else. And then I transported them directly from the area to the Indiana State Police post in West Lafayette.
And that's where you placed them in their individual packages in temporary storage?
They were in individual packages at the scene.
Right.
And then taken all together as individual items to the lab to be stored in temporary evidence storage in a secured locker.
Then what did you do the following day?
The following day, on February 15th, I went to Terre Haute and I attended the autopsies of the two victims in this matter, Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
What time did you leave the crime scene, approximately, with those evidence items?
To the best of my recollection, somewhere between 10:30 and 10:45.
And then you were at the autopsy the next morning?
Yes. I got to Terre Haute at approximately 7:30 the next morning.
What was your role at the autopsy, as just an observer, or did you have functions to perform?
Just like at the crime scene, the body and the autopsy itself is considered a crime scene. To document the crime scene, to document the autopsy and the items found at the autopsy, and collect any items of probative value at the autopsy. To also include items required, such as standards from the individuals, to include head hair standards, which would be particularly identifying to the individuals, as well as a DNA stain card and vials of the individual's collected blood.
So items that the pathologist collected that would go to you?
Yes.
And then how would you package or what would you do with each item that you were provided by the pathologist?
Each item provided by the pathologist or collected at the autopsy would be individually packaged. These are biological items, so they would be packaged in paper products, an envelope, a paper bag, cardboard, something to that nature, and never packaged, because of their biological nature, into anything plastic. The autopsy is documented in a systematic manner, just like we would any other crime scene, and then taking information and cues from the pathologist, the forensic pathologist in this case, about what evidence or items he finds useful, important, or informative. And also, in autopsies I attended, I frequently asked the forensic pathologist if there's anything of an oddity or that they think is especially important to take to alert me to that, so that I can document that and take photographs of anything that they find particularly important.
And did you do so in this case?
I did so in this case.
And did you have another crime scene investigator with you at the Terre Haute Hospital where the autopsies were performed?
I did. Sergeant Brandon Mullen, who is a crime scene investigator. He was...
So not to be confused with Mullen, this is Mullen. So one is Mullen and one is Mullin.
At that point in time, assigned to the Putnamville Post, and his primary county was Vigo County, where Terre Haute is located, and he assisted and worked with me to document the autopsies and to collect items of evidence from the autopsy.
And did Sergeant Mullen leave the autopsy with any items of evidence?
He did, particularly the items of...
Yeah, and that it's spelled En apparently, according to the transcripts. But unless you know something different, Belly May, you let me know. You let me know. Are they related? And it's just spelled wrong in the transcripts?
clothing, which were still wet and moist from Abigail's body. He took those items in a similar fashion as Sergeant Cody took items from the river to the Putnamville Post to their drying room, and those items were taken by Sergeant Mullen to the Putnamville Post to their drying room to dry them out so that they would be prepared, could be prepared for final packaging and entry into the state police laboratory system.
Your Honor, we brought the items of evidence we'd have him identify.
Would counsel approach? Yeah, would counsel approach?
Sidebar conference conducted.
I think this might be an appropriate time for us to break. Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
Sidebar conference concluded.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know I hate to do this, but we're going to break again in the middle of a witness. It's been a long afternoon and day for you, and we have much more to go through, so we're going to go ahead and break. Again, while you go on about your own business the rest of the evening, please remember what I've told you before. Since now you will be in the company of the bailiffs, you can't talk about the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. So please don't do that. Again, just leave all your materials there on your chairs, and Jody will collect those and have those available to you. Please have a peaceful evening, and we'll see you all in the morning.
All rise.
All right, we are in recess, ladies and gentlemen. Be back here at 9 we'll start back up again at 9.
Okay. All right, so that completes day 3, and they cut him off in the middle of it. So you have, in the morning, Latrell is going to go, not our morning, in the morning of day 4, Latrell goes through each exhibit, the physical exhibits with Olahi, and then you get cross-examination. So that's all happening on day 4. There are crime photos where you can see the phone under Abby's leg peeking out with no shoe. I don't know. I've not seen that in there. Why not they just video everything, like video them moving, uncovering, etc. I don't remember what's his name from Karen Reed with his leaf blower. Was it Gallagher? With his leaf blower and wanted everything videotaped. Billy May. Where would you say Billy May? Let me go. I think it's a perpetual prank. That's how this case feels. Oh, I agree. My phone. Oh, I read that one. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this one up, and then I'm gonna be back tonight to cover the Kevin Murphy Odin 12-page Odin report. So I'll be back at like 4:30 my time. I'll schedule it as soon as I know which one I'm supposed to be, if I'm taking her or if my husband is. And so that's 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 Mountain, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, and then after that, Shaboobies is going to be live. So, yep, twice in one day, because I won't be able to do anything over the weekend. I have tomorrow we're doing my son's birthday barbecue, and then Sunday we have gymnastics awards. So like my weekend is going to be shot to hell, and then next week I want to do day 4 and day 5. If you're across the pond, you're gonna have to do your own time. I don't even know what day. Today's Friday. We got to do a Delphi Friday at night live. So that's the plan. That's what we're doing tonight. So I will let you guys, like I said, I'll schedule it as soon as I know what I'm doing. Yeah, Shaboobi's first live is today. So I think that the mods had put the link to her channel, and but I'll put it in tonight when we go, or this afternoon tonight when we go live, so that we can go over there. I don't know if she has it set up where I can send people there yet or not, but that's what we're going to be doing. So, hey, Jen. All right. As always, thank you guys for hanging out. I know you guys have 1,000 other places that you could hang out or other things you could be doing, and you still choose to come here and hang out with us, and we love you and appreciate you for it. So thank you for being here. Go enjoy your afternoon/evening until we meet again in just a few hours. And since Sleuthy's phone died, I will say her, yeah, tell her to set that up real quick. And I will tell her goodbye, which is love you, bye.